Welcome back, everybody, to Big Apple Hockey. It is a great to be back with you, and we have a huge show for you today. Although it's not as big as what we wanted because one team refuses to play games right now. No, give you a hint. It's the Islanders. So first things first. Well, it would be nice if they could play a game. How do you talk about one game this week? First things first. I'm your host. Oh, I did it again, everybody. There it is, Mark Williams. And I am joined by the one and only Mr. John Filkowski.
Can we send Jacob Trouba out of town, like ASAP, please?
And, of course, the man who is doing too much right now, so much news in his life, but Mr. Anthony LaRocco.
I'm really excited for the season to start tomorrow, guys. It's been a long time since we've seen NHL hockey, so I'm excited for the Islanders to finally drop the puck on their season.
I mean, play a damn game. I mean, does the NHL not want to see them at all? Them or the Bruins? Like, how is this even possible?
But, well, I mean, like I said, I get it, and we'll talk about when we get into the Islanders, but I guess they feel like 13-game road trip, wouldn't be fair for them to sit there and be on the road literally the whole time.
That is true, but also, I mean, if you're going to be on the road that entire time, wouldn't you rather have the games? Which is what we're going to get into in a minute. We do have huge news for everybody today. It is official. We're going to be doing our first bar meetup at the end of November. It is a Ranger Islander game. It's going to be in Hicksville. It's a bar that I frequent plenty of times. So can't wait to actually get together, meet everybody. Yes, it will be a little bit of an NFL Sunday, but there's no interesting games. And let's be honest, Rangers, Islanders, that's what we really are all going to want to see anyway. But we got to talk about that said Rangers because it's always the good and the bad with this team. So we have there's a loss to Calgary last week. They get 3 days off, and then they shut out Columbus. They beat Seattle in Seattle for their first one, and it looked like they had another 2 points, but they coughed up a 2-goal lead in the third period. Filk, your thoughts on last night's game?
Outplayed yet again. It just seems like there's no improvement in the team. It just doesn't seem like they're getting it. They don't seem to just get the fact that you need to play a full 60 minutes of hockey, and there's just never a full 60-minute effort from this team. They finally had some sort of consistent offensive zone possession time and chances. Because in a lot of their other games, if you really watch, they're getting chances and they're converting on them, and they're usually off the rush. It's never at the expense of sustained offensive zone pressure. So it was good to see them get those shifts in there, but they still played badly in their own zone. They were still outplayed. They were still outworked, again, by a lesser team. Vancouver has not been good. So to get outworked by a team like Vancouver after getting outworked handily by an even worse team in Seattle is not good news for this team heading into a part of their schedule where they have 3 games against Edmonton, Calgary, who wiped the floor with them the last time, and then Florida, who's one of the best teams in the league right now. So I don't care what's going on with their coaching controversy. They're still a far better team than the Rangers. A far better team. And if they come in there into those 3 games with efforts like the ones that they've had in these games, they're going to get smacked around. So they need to step things up, and the offense needs to start scoring. 2 goals a game or less is anemic, and it's not good enough.
I think it's time to shake up the lines. And to his credit, Gerard Gallant isn't throwing anyone under the bus. He is trying to be as upbeat as possible with this, if you heard it in the press conferences before. But this is really going to – there is an adjustment period. We know this. He's trying to put his stamp on the team. And when you're going to be seeing – you're going to be seeing one of the best offensive players, ergo teams, in the league this tomorrow night, actually. And then getting the Calgary Flames, who look like they've adjusted well after a new coach. And once again, Anthony gets better looking. It's just the way. I don't know if I can even duplicate that look anymore, but it's something that they need to adjust. They need to get back on track, which I was going to lead Anthony to this question. Oh, good. He's back. Okay, good. So Anthony, I asked you this question last week about Ilya Sorokin, but right now, is it all on Igor Shesterkin for the New York Rangers?
Hey, I mean, definitely seems that way. Obviously, at the shutout in Columbus, he was great. He was really good in the game against Seattle, and he was great in Vancouver again last night. It's becoming the story. I'll say this, for the most part, it's good enough for them to win. But, finally last night he was met with a goalie who was at least at his level in Thatcher Demko in this particular game. And Demko, stole the game for Vancouver in that crazy sequence in overtime there at the end. But, you can't. It's good to have an elite goalie. Obviously, it's one of the biggest wins you can have as an NHL club. But when you consistently, essentially, rely on that said goalie to play, worldly, eventually it's going to catch up to you. And it's also going to create a lot more pressure on Igor's shoulders that he's feeling night in and night out. And that the grind of a long season, it'll start to wear at you. So, right now, the Rangers really need to give him a little more support. So he doesn't have to feel, okay, well, if I let in 2 goals, maybe we're going to lose now. So he's been fantastic, absolutely fantastic, but the Rangers got to give him more help. They got to give him more goal support. And they got to be stronger defensively because it's nice to have your goalie make these 10-bell saves and keep you in it with saves when you're under siege, but it's not prime. So the Rangers need to kind of help him out a little bit.
Do these conversations sound awfully familiar?
Yeah,
because I recall having these conversations for 15 years with Henrik Lundqvist. The same damn conversations over and over again. The play in front of him is unsustainable. You can't win against better teams like this. You got to have better production from your defense. K'Andre Miller and Jacob Trouba have just been they should be fired into the sun with the way that they played. And Patrick Nemeth is even worse than they are. So
I'll go one better. I'm done seeing Jared Tenorti.
Yeah, I'm done with him.
I'm done with that too. Yeah, we tried that experiment. It's that's done. So there are other positives that have come out of this. Yes. Last night, goal and assist for Artemi Panarin, goal and assist for Mika Zibanejad, another 2 assists for Adam Fox. Chris Kreider scored on a shot this week. Filk will be happy about that. And it's just that's where where Filk is alluding to. Is it time that the Rangers split up Trouba and Miller?
I think it's gotta happen. It's gotta happen. This pairing has been awful. If you look at the analytics in terms of like game scores and goals saved or expected goals against, I'm sorry. It just they're so bad. They're so bad. And Jacob Trouba, you know what? I get it. Like, he can't carry a pairing. Him and Josh Morrissey were great together in Winnipeg because they really complemented one another well, and they were both experienced defensemen. Jacob Trouba can't carry K'Andre Miller, and the consistent rookie mistakes that K'Andre Miller continues to make in his second season, like letting forwards get behind him, waving with his stick too much, not playing the body enough. Getting caught out of position is another thing that K'Andre Miller just seems to – I don't know what it is with him, but he continues to do this. And Jacob Trouba can't carry that. So I would try to see if K'Andre Miller can work with Adam Fox. I would put maybe Ryan Lindgren with Jacob Trouba, or get Nils Lundqvist, in there, and maybe move Patrick Nemeth around with somebody. Maybe I don't know. Nemeth and Trouba, I don't know. I really don't. I don't like the idea of Patrick Nemeth playing top 4 minutes, but something's got to change with these pairings because Fox and Lindgren are phenomenal together, and the other 2 pairings are just terrible. So
I'm going to redirect that entire philosophy and everything you were just saying right back down to the bottom box because, Anthony, you know from your experience with the Islanders, you need consistent D pairing and guys that know where they're going to be. So when you decide to shake them up, I mean that's a tectonic play if you split up Lindgren and Fox, right?
Yeah, but you know what? I mean, look to the Islanders. They've split up Pelech and Pollock this year because of the struggles of Chara and Green. They couldn't stay the course with that pair because Trotz felt that splitting them up helped out the other pairings by always having at least trying to have one of them on the ice, at all times. So the Rangers could definitely split up Fox and Lindgren to that point. But as far as Trouba, I mean, I've said really from the get-go, like Trouba's making $8 million, and he's certainly not playing like an $8 million defenseman by any stretch of the imagination. And with the Rangers now with Fox's extension and them having 5 players account for roughly $44 million against the cap. You can't have Jacob Trouba making $8 million. I mean, there's going to come to a point where you're going to have to try to find a way to move him because with that much money tied up in 5 guys and he's playing the way he is, it's not really good for the rest of the way you want to construct the rest of your team. But for now, try something different. Try to give him a boost, a different pairing. And it doesn't help. He's playing with a younger player in Keandre Miller who's struggled, I would say, mightily since the second half of last season. So I don't know if the two of them really complement each other well at this point. No. The problem is then you have Tenorti and Nemeth who are both, poor defensemen. So there's not much you could do aside from, splitting up Fox and Lindgren and kind of putting it in a mixed bag and seeing what we can come up with.
And you know what? If the part of the problem with him was he was brought to be a number 1, he quickly lost his job on the power play, and then Fox took over the number 1 defenseman spot. I mean, it should make him better, but he's making all that money. And I mean, that just puts a target on you. But once again, Filk, one of the stories of the team, they can't win a damn face-off. And yes, I said damn for that. They actually went up in the rankings because someone else got worse.
You know what? And I've been saying this for a while. You have to – face-offs aren't an overrated stat. There are so many younger fans that think that face-offs are overrated. Face-offs equal possession, and possession helps you win games. And, yes, I know possession is not the only thing that helps you win games. You obviously have to get shots on net. You have to score. You have to keep your puck keep the puck out of your own net. But you can't be on a power play and lose the initial face-off every single time. And for once, they won the initial face-off. They had their configurations different, and they went to Artemi Panarin for a one-timer from the point and scored last night off of it.
Yep.
Right off the opening face-off of that power play. And it was like, I felt like I was in the Upside Down from Stranger Things. Like, what was going on here? Like, was some monster about to come out and eat me and end my life or something like that, and I was never going to come back? I didn't understand what was going on there for a second because I hadn't seen that in God knows how long. I felt like since maybe Leach and Zubov were a pairing. But
or when Messier was taking more draws. And for people that think faceoffs are overrated, one of the reasons why the Rangers won the Cup in '94 is because they got Craig McTavish, and it wasn't because he was a great goal scorer.
No,
so
he wasn't brought in for that purpose. I mean, he was the one who took the final faceoff and won the final faceoff for them. But the point that I want to make here is that you cannot be the 30th of 32nd or the 30th of 32 teams in the NHL in terms of faceoff percentage and expect to win games because you can't sustain possession that way. That means that the other team is going to have the puck a lot more than you do. And the fact that they have 6 wins in 10 games, despite being last in the NHL, sure, it's a good thing in a way because
third to last.
Yeah, third to last. Sorry, and they could get better, but And Rich, yeah, I said this, I think, in the video about Adam. Oh, no, that was the comment I was looking for. Sorry, John. But
Hello, John. He did say the same thing too.
yeah, I did say that yesterday too, John.
And nice belt.
Yeah, so it's actually good that you made that comment, John. But Rich, yeah, I talked about hiring Yannick Perreault and seeing what Yannick Perreault is doing, because the Washington Capitals brought in Michael Pekka to help, and Michael Pekka helped them. So why couldn't the Rangers do the same thing and go get someone like Yannick Perreault or someone like that to help them win faceoffs? You know?
Wait a second. They brought in Michael Pekka to Washington?
Yeah.
I mean, that's where Peter Laviolette coached. Didn't those two not get along, Anthony?
Who? Pekka and Laviolette?
Was it him and Pekka that didn't get along?
I mean, I don't know. That's what was reported. I don't know how much truth there was to it. I know there was the whole Yashin Pekka dynamic in the locker room, but I don't know exactly what transpired there.
All right. Well, I guess the only way to look at it though for the Rangers is they got all these problems and they're still getting points. They've only left 5 points on the board so far this season, or now it's 6. But that's the only way to look at it right now, and they're going to get better. They're going to score more goals. We all know this, and that's what's going to happen.
Give me Zach Jones already, please.
Yeah. Oh, and so if you got any more suggestions how you would improve the New York Rangers right now, throw them all down in the comments below. We're going to move on to a team where there's not that much news. First things first. Anthony and I were talking about this the other day, Islander fans, and yes, we're trying to cover both teams equally as much, but you guys are good at keeping news out, and you only played one game this week. What the hell, NHL? There's 2 New York teams. All right, so
plus we want some more Islander viewers in here, especially in the comments section. There's no Islander comments in the section.
Yeah,
so.
Shannon, where are you?
Shannon, we need our Islander viewers in here to be in the comments section to help us out, because that'll really get the Islander discussion going too.
All right, so the Islanders had one game this week, one since the last time we did a show, and they lost in shootout to the Nashville Predators. You got the power play. You know, it was almost the same story that the Rangers had last night, Anthony. 2 power play goals. In your case, Beauvillier and Wahlstrom. And then, third period, you lose the lead, and then you lose in overtime or shootout. Take it away.
Yeah. The Islanders, the first period, I would say Nashville was a little bit on top of them. Sorokin made 11 of those 21 saves in the first. But then, the Islanders from there, they kind of really took the game away. And if it weren't for, a mishap by Chara in the third period that led to a lucky Predators deflection goal that tied the game, the Islanders probably get 2 points in that game. But what seems to be the story since really after the second game of the season, Sorokin kind of, held him in it, especially in the overtime period. He made an absolutely ridiculous save in overtime.
That was ridiculous, the closing seconds.
That was when I texted you guys in the group and I asked you if he made that save, and that was unbelievable.
I was I guess I shouldn't be shocked anymore, because like the way he goes into the splits and how agile he is, it's becoming more of a reoccurring theme. But they should have won that game. I mean, they really dominated the third period. Again, Chara kind of misplayed a play pretty badly. But that's hockey. Sometimes one play can lead to results how a game ends. But fortunately, Forsberg put on a fantastic move in the shootout. He's one of, nothing you could really do about that. You got to tip your hat to a creative player when they make a move like that to score. But the Islanders couldn't get the job done in the shootout. But you're absolutely right. The schedule has been weird. They shut out Vegas, and then they didn't play for 6 days. They play the Predators, and now they're off for another 5. And it's like, especially for a goalie, I think you can ask any goalie, like, not play. When you have those breaks, it takes away from your rhythm and like how you're feeling. Sorokin was coming off 2 shutouts, and then he doesn't play for six games. I mean, this goes for the whole roster, but I think this type of break affects the goalies most, because goalies like to get into a rhythm when they play. They like to feel the puck. And right now, they're not playing enough. And I think that can negatively affect the team personally, because as much as they're probably happy about getting to go home during these breaks and see their family, spend time with their kids, that's stuff that means a lot to players. But at the same time, on the hockey side of things, I'm sure they don't like it because it affects your rhythm that you're into, especially so early in the season when you're only, 5, 6, 7 games into the season and you're already getting breaks like this. It's harder. It's not like they've played, 55 games already and they had a break for, 10 days or so. So this early in the season, it's a little more magnified when you have these breaks. And again, it's a wacky schedule. And as I said before, I think a lot of it has to do with, 13-game road trip. They figure if you leave these guys on the road for that whole duration, 13 games, you're talking a little over a month without seeing your family, without seeing your kids and stuff. So I guess they felt that, at least let them have some time off. So in between they could fly home and actually be at home and then go back out on the road. But
Yeah,
I think it's a hard thing. And I think it affects them negatively again for that whole rhythm aspect. You're playing one game, then you're off again. So, but thankfully after this game against Montreal, it goes back into a more rhythm schedule from here on out, every other day, every 2 days. And then obviously the road trip ends and they're at home. So tough little thing they got to kind of battle through right now. But what's not lost in it is that they're 3-0-2 since those first 2 games. So that's good. But I think they would like to play more often to keep those good feelings going.
Well, just before I give it over to Filk, I have to say, just everybody remember, when you're 43 or 44 years old, your life is basically over, right? So, Filk.
Oh God, thank God I have a few years before I hit that. But
I don't. I'm already there.
That's why I said that. But honestly, their start to this season beckons me 2 questions. One that I think I can answer right off the top of my head, and the other which I'm going to defer to Anthony a little bit for, because I think he's probably seeing the same things that I am in this regard. But the first question is, the net's got to be Sorokin's now, right? Because, I mean, he's played too damn good to give it back to Varlamov, if you ask me.
Which we're going to get into more in a second.
Yeah, I mean, I can't even think of how you go back to him at this point. And the other one is, I think it's time to stop giving Char the minutes, and I think it's time to start going to the kids. I just think he's just done. I don't see how you can continue to give this guy minutes and hope that you're going to get to a Stanley Cup final with him playing any type of significant minutes at this point. If he's your 6th and you're sheltering him, okay, fine. But he's really playing kind of like top 4 minutes right now, Anthony, right?
I mean, in the last game against Nashville, Trotz kind of lowered his minutes, but typically on a whole, yeah, I mean, he's playing a decent amount. So it needs to change for sure.
Yeah.
I just want to let you guys know, I passed Char about 2 hours ago when I got lunch. He was on the side of the road. There were a bunch of guys in hard hats. It was a cone. So, granted, he's a 7.
Are you sure that wasn't Jacob Trouba?
No, Trouba can at least move a little bit.
Well, was it a really tall cone, or was it a really shorter cone? Because if it was the shorter one, it was Trouba.
It was a really, really, really big cone.
Before you go to answer Filk's first question about, it's got to be Sorokin going forward, the only thing I'll say is when Varlamov came off IR, there's some speculation is Sorokin going to start against Nashville? Because if he didn't and Varlamov played, but next time Sorokin could have started, which would have been tomorrow, that would have been like, 11, that would have been like 12 days in between starts, and you can't do that. And it's the same situation for tomorrow night. If Varlamov starts tomorrow, when they play again against Winnipeg on Saturday, that would be a whole week since Sorokin started. And again, you can't leave a guy, especially a goalie, 7 days in between games, especially when he's hot. Varlamov hasn't played yet this season, so it doesn't matter at this point how long you go until he starts his first game. So exactly. I would say Sorokin has to start tomorrow, and then from there, being that the schedule is going to get back to normal, then you can give Varlamov his first start on Saturday. But as for tomorrow, it's got to be Sorokin. You can't go that long in between starts.
Well, unfortunately, Anthony answered this question for me, which was going to be, when should Trotz reinsert Varlamov? But it's okay. You're shortening the segment for us.
No, that works.
I do have to go back to this on this thing. If you actually took the two schedules, I think, and swapped them for the Rangers and the Islanders, it would have worked out a little bit better for both teams. Older teams, like you said, they want to be home. They want to be playing games. They don't want to be practicing. Younger teams need that practice time to develop. If they're on the road, then there is a little bit more chance for camaraderie and stuff like that.
That's a great point.
And that's one thing that's what we do here at Big Apple Hockey. We make great points. It's just if you would have taken that and swapped that around, it's not a problem. Now, by the way, the Islanders still have 41 home games. Where did they have their best record last year? At home. So that's
one of the best home teams in the NHL. Like I said it last week, big advantage.
And although there are reported delays right now in UBS's construction, I saw a story. I can't confirm it at the moment about them asking for permission to play some games in Bridgeport if needed. It's a routine thing. This happens all the time. Hell, Madison Square Garden was getting completely redone when the Rangers were playing. So everybody just relax. And also, I do need to show you this picture, Anthony, since it'll make you happy. Just take a look at UBS Arena. I got to say, even as a Long Islander and a hockey fan, I can't wait to see this arena.
Yeah.
And the Islanders actually have an actual arena instead of, it would just be nice.
I like the fact that we're able to keep the Coliseum look, but everything just looks really, really good there. And you got to remember, the same guy that did Climate Pledge, Tim Leiweke, he also did UBS. So that arena is going to come out top notch.
Yeah, I can't wait.
Which, again, I have to repeat to everybody, the Nashville arena, Bridgestone Arena, that place was gorgeous. It's one of the best looking arenas I've seen in the NHL. Taking the Garden out of the mix because, of course, I'm going to be biased for the Garden. All right. But so what do you think about the Islanders in their one game that they played this week? So it's still kind of just upsetting me. It's like, what are we going to talk about? Have you thought about the podcasters, NHL? Have you thought about the podcasters?
Give us something here.
Throw it all down in the comments below. But I have to say, last week, Ilya Sorokin was one of the hottest goaltenders in the league. And then the Rangers had a couple days off. Igor Shesterkin got beat up a little bit versus Calgary, and his numbers is still great. So but then Shesterkin gets his first shutout against Columbus. Sorokin gets the loss against Nashville. But there's still this budding rivalry from these two BFFs. Now, I'm going to start with you, Anthony. And the key word right there is friendly rivalry. Yeah. Is a friendly rivalry between those two friends good for New York hockey?
I think if this was bar talk, I would buy everyone around on that one. I think it absolutely is. Listen, they both play for New York teams. They obviously want to be the best goalie in the area. They want their team to be better than the other. And I think the fact that they're friends just kind of adds, fuel to that fire. They want the bragging rights when they're hanging out in the summer, in Russia. They can, take little jabs at each other about, who had the better GAA or, that kind of stuff, or which team had the most success. So I think it absolutely is. I think these two are going to be at the top of the league as soon as possibly, this year in a lot of the statistical categories. You see the immense talent that they have. very different goalies too. I think they play different styles and they have some similarities, but they also are very different. But these are two guys that in the summertime you see them in Russia. There's pictures of them together training from years back. There was like I'm pretty sure Filk seen it. It was like a Twitter video of they were like somewhere in Russia and they were like singing like a boy band song together and like outside somewhere. And it's good. It's good to see they have that bond. They came up with each other. They played in a similar situation. Rangers, Islanders. One was CSKA Moscow, the SKA Petersburg. They played against each other, two of the top teams in the league. So hopefully they can bring that to the NHL level this time. So yeah, I think it's great that they're good friends. I think it's going to push them both to, like I said earlier, to be better than the other. Bragging rights. And again, these guys, maybe not this Olympics, because you still have the Vaseline man, as I call him, at the top of his game, and a bounce back season from Bobrovsky. But maybe in the future, going forward, these two guys can represent Russia on the same roster. So
I just want to say, because I just turned around and went the Vaseline man. I'm like, is that a good nickname to ever have? But but going over to Filk, because by the way, the hard part is at least you didn't just do AV 88 or something like that, because eventually when we get to Paul George, it's PG-13, one of the lamest nicknames there ever is. Filk, what do you think about the rivalry? Is it friendly, good for the NHL, or good for New York hockey?
The way that I think about it, and I think I posted this in the group text, is that it's sort of like Crosby and Ovechkin, but without the beef and without the grand scale that they're on. But the media wants to make it into something more than it is. But it's really just two really good friends who came from the same place, the same age, same level of pedigree in terms of prospect status, and are producing at the same exact level the NHL right now. They've both been at every level they've ever played in. It's great to see. Honestly, Ilya Sorokin's going to be a pain in the Rangers' ass for a very long time. I said that about John Tavares when I was literally at the Islanders draft party with Anthony when they drafted him that day. I said Tavares is going to be a pain in the ass for the Rangers for a long, long time. And Sorokin is going to be as well. And likewise with Shesterkin to the Islanders. So you're in for a goaltending duel every time the two of them are going to be playing against each other. So, yeah, it's great for New York hockey. It really is.
All right. So, but I'm going to actually go with the word friendly right there and reference a Sports Illustrated article as well before I get started. First, let me do that. Reference a Sports Illustrated article. If you remember 15 years ago, there was an article in Sports Illustrated comparing Mantle, Mays, and Duke Snyder to Lundqvist, Brodeur, and Rick DiPietro. And then Rick DiPietro blew out his hip and just let it into the Lundqvist-Brodeur rivalry. The question I have right there is Lundqvist and Brodeur were not friendly, and that was still a great rivalry. Is it better when the rivals truly don't like each other, a la Crosby and Ovechkin, Lundqvist-Brodeur?
You know what? The Crosby and Ovechkin one is a funny thing because I think their stances on each other drastically changed over the years. I know when they were younger and they were playing each other in the playoffs a lot, it was a lot different. But I think as they've gotten older, and I think Crosby's matured a bit.
So was Ovechkin.
And Ovechkin too,
yeah.
to that extent. I would say that their stances on each other have definitely changed. Even for a while, look at Ovechkin and Malkin were not exactly big fans of each other for a bit there. And that's changed as well. So, it's good in a way that there is some real life heat, but like you really want that heat in the playoffs.
Yeah.
It doesn't need to be to the level of Red Wings and Avalanche in like the mid-late 90s there, but you definitely want a competitive edge between the two. But I like that. I like that Ilya and Igor are friends. I think it's a really good dynamic because I think knowing like let's just say me and Anthony, when me and Anthony used to play each other in hockey, it was always like You know what? Anthony was more the goal scorer. I was more the playmaker and the defensive-minded, all-around type guy. But Anthony was like, okay, let me channel my inner Ovechkin and let me score goals on this team. Meanwhile, I wanted to stop him from doing that, and I wanted to make sure that I hit him every chance that I could get. So, but it's good at the end of the day when you can go back and you can have a beer with somebody afterwards.
Yeah. And also your friends can motivate you and drive you to want to do better. Anthony.
Exactly.
Yeah, and like I said, not to your point, if it's better to be friends or whatnot, and I get the point. If you don't like the other player, maybe it gives you extra motivation to want to be better. But at the same time, these are two highly competitive guys, that have always played at a high level, and always have been, one of the best in whatever league they've been in. So the fact that they're friends, I don't think that affects that. I think based on being that they're highly competitive, that they're still going to want to be better than the other person, even though they're good friends. So, I think, like I said, I think it's good for both teams. And I also think it's good for the game of hockey overall, overall in New York. It's a storyline that, hopefully you have for kind of, many, many years to come. And I don't see that changing in any way. I think both guys are going to be with their respective teams for a long time. But I think this is the first season where it's going to take off. I mean, based on Sorokin's play early in the year, I don't see how in good conscience, Trotz could still have Varlamov play the majority of the games. Because it's undeniable now from what you've seen from him that, he should be the guy. And I think, we are going to see that this year.
Here's something to think about with that. When was the last time two Vezina finalists came out of the same division?
Last year you had
maybe
Marc-Andre Fleury and Philip Grubauer.
Yeah, that is true.
But that is a good point.
Wait, Colorado,
Grubauer and Marc-Andre Fleury. Fleury won
right.
it. Grubauer was a finalist.
Yeah, Grubauer was a finalist and Fleury won it. And when was the last time before that, though?
It might be a while before that. Now, on the other hand, I mean, I know when they went to 4 post-lockout, Lundqvist was in there and Brodeur won it.
Brodeur won it in 2007, and Lundqvist was the second runner-up that year.
Yeah. The one that I can't believe, there's 2 years with Lundqvist, just to say, I can't believe that he wasn't nominated for Vezina or didn't win it at all. 2010, he wasn't nominated. He had 10 shutouts, and he carried the team on his back and the microscopic goals against in the month of March. And the other one was 2013. They gave it to Bobrovsky instead of Lundqvist, even though Lundqvist was still carrying the Rangers at that time.
Colorado's in the Central and Vegas is in the Pacific.
Last year, they're in the same division.
Oh, all right. Yeah, all right. That's why I was thrown for a loop at first. I'm like, wait a second, they're on the same division. But yeah, so technicality, yeah.
And by the way, there are great examples of other friendly rivalries in sports. Larry Bird and Magic Johnson comes to mind. And of course, Peyton and Eli. Don't forget, 2006, Peyton won his first Super Bowl. Eli responded by beating the only undefeated team in the Super Bowl. That was 18-0, not 17-0, because that was the Miami Dolphins. I do know that. I'm a Dolphins fan. So although I almost quit on them if they would have gotten Deshaun Watson. But yeah, no, I should have stayed a Giant fan. If I quit on the Dolphins, I'll go back to the Giants if I care about football still. But fortunately, hockey's a better sport anyway. Guys, if you could think of any other good rivalries, throw it down in the comments below. We're actually going fast and furious today. And don't forget to leave us a like as well, because we're going to go over and do some power rankings.
Thank you.
Wow.
Thank
Brody,
you very
much. Thank you very much. And you know something?
Appreciate it.
That's why it's another thing to mention. We are doing the first bar meetup. You can see it coming across the sticker right now. It's going to be hopefully as many people as we can jam in there, and all to watch the Rangers and the Islanders on November 28th. I would love to do it on the 24th, but that's Thanksgiving Eve. I'm a bartender. I already know what we're in for. But we are anticipating having Obviously some beer specials. Unfortunately, can't do anything on food right now because of economics. If you don't know about it, food prices are all going through the roof. Soon the dollar menu will still be a $5 menu. So also, but we are going to have some giveaways that day and very likely a 50-50. So can't wait to start seeing you, like you guys in person, guys, girls, everyone. So come bring it all down. And it's going to be a great time. So come on down. And we're going to move on to our next segment because we're going to do, before we do our bar talk, we're going to do some power rankings. And let's just hide that because Marc has too much time on his hands. So, of course, there was an intro.
More power.
You underestimate my power.
So, guys, welcome back to the Big Apple Hockey Power Rankings, where we're going to go through the Metro Division today, talking about what we're seeing from the teams and which teams we're ranking from the worst to the best. And the guy that's going to be narrating his list today, John had his back in September when we first did it. This was actually, by the way, the original list where we ranked everything. That was what we ranked back in September. So I'll show you guys the differences right now. And it's going to be the ones I'm going to read off. And these guys are going to grimace as I do that. So starting with the Pittsburgh Penguins, I think we're all going to have them at number 8. They beat Tampa and on opening night, and they have not looked great except for against Toronto Maple Leafs.
And now Sidney Crosby is going into COVID protocol.
That was other news I was about to divulge. Who else went into COVID protocol on them? There's another guy.
Dumoulin.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty bad. At number 7, I have the Columbus Blue Jackets. They played very well, but I think they've been overachieving a little bit. It's starting to kind of fall off the rails. Although I hope Elvis Merzlikins ends up winning the Vezina as he promised to do in honor of his fallen teammate. I have actually liked what I've seen out of the New Jersey Devils so far. And the Devils, when Jack Hughes was in, looked pretty good. They're doing this right now without Hughes and Mackenzie Blackwood. So, by the way, I've said this before. Great thing about getting older, random burps. Where the hell did that just come from? So, I like what I've seen with the Devils so far. The next 3 you can almost put in any other order. I went with the Philadelphia Flyers at number 5. I wasn't exactly that impressed with them. Carter Hart is rebounding in that process. Martin Jones had a couple of really good starts, but we also know Martin Jones, and that's going to go south pretty quickly. At number 4, the New York Rangers. They've looked good in spots. That's just what the eye test tells you. And as we said in our original segment before, they've had their moments. Their offense isn't exactly producing right now. They're still under about 2 goals a game. They need to get that on track. I put the Islanders at 3, even though there's fewer games. The Islanders have just looked more solid, and Ilya Sorokin's been carrying them. By the way, that's also the story of the Rangers as well, carried by a Russian goaltender. The Washington Capitals are at number 2. Again, all these teams are over 500. And the funny part is sometimes you're looking at them going, I'm not that impressed. I don't know. And then, of course, the only unbeaten team left in the NHL, the Carolina Hurricanes, who have looked incredible. And I still just don't know what to make out of their goaltending situation. Freddie Anderson has turned back the clock to 2015, back when he was with the Anaheim Ducks. And I'm going to bring us back to our 3 spot right there and also show you what we all think about everything. There we go. There's my list on the left. Filk is on the middle and Anthony on the right. And you can see we all kind of disagreed on the Islanders, Rangers, Flyers the most. The Blue Jackets and the Devils. But we all of us had the Capitals and the Hurricanes at number 1. So, Filk, what did you see with the Flyers that you ranked them a little bit higher?
Just a more consistent team. I got to give them a lot of credit for beating Edmonton. They beat Boston, who really isn't all that great. I mean, and they got another win against Seattle. They lost to Vancouver in the shootout, but they got wrecked against Calgary 4-0, and they beat Arizona, who they should beat because Arizona's winless for a reason, because they're a dumpster fire. But I mean, overall, I just, in their wins, they look like a convincingly better team when they win than the Rangers. The only thing that I've liked about the Rangers was their only convincing win, I should say, was the win against Columbus. Otherwise, the Rangers wins haven't really been all that convincing to me. So that's why I ranked them where I did.
Okay. And Anthony?
So I kind of attacked my list at two thoughts in mind. Like, one, proof-wise, like points, technical, and then two, other circumstances. Because, like, sure, the Islanders are only ahead of Pittsburgh right now, but they've barely played, and they're 3-0-2 in the last 5, and they're a team that is expected to possibly go all the way, and I think when they get going they will. But at the same time, you still have to give credit to teams that are playing good in the right now, like the Rangers. I had to rank ahead of them just based on their play so far. The Flyers, like teams like the Blue Jackets, the Devils, they're going to fall off. So you got to take that into consideration. That's why I said you can't strictly go by the standings and points wise, because it's not really how this works. But ultimately, with the Flyers, similar to Filk, I've thought that they've been a little more consistent. The thing I don't like about the Rangers is that and Filk already said a lot of it. They're not really their play has been uninspiring, even in some of their wins, just due to Shesterkin's ungodly play. But they're going to get tested here in these next couple of games. They're good. They're going to start playing some good teams. They're not going to play the Seattle Kraken and the Ottawa Senators, and so we'll really see how they stack up once they play the Oilers, and the Panthers. But for right now, you got to give them your due. That's why I put them where they did. But I think if we do this power ranking come January, I think it will look a lot different.
Yeah.
Well, the next time we do the division, that's you. So be ready. You're the one that's going to have to read it off. And we're eventually going to get to the top 5 in the league as well. I just want to address one comment, by the way. For the money, Trouba is a disaster. Somewhat right. Could always be Erik Karlsson, who's somewhat playing better right now. I mean, that's just
he has. I could see that in there. He has.
Can we get the meme of the do not want dog, where the dog is just running away like that? That's my thoughts about Erik Karlsson.
Yeah.
He's playing better this season than he's played in a while. I'll give him that. That contract is still just disastrous.
That contract is an albatross. And in case if you haven't read The Rime of the Ancient Mariner, listen to the Iron Maiden song, which paraphrases it very nicely. Yes. So, all right. Guys, what do you think about our rankings? I'm going to give you one last look at them right now. And that you can see the way that we had them all set up. Basically, honestly, the Rangers in the 3-4 slot, the Flyers in again 3-4-5. You could always just put them anywhere you want. Would you make some adjustments? Or are we completely off on anybody? Why do we put Carolina number 1? They're only unbeaten and with a goal differential of +15 right now. Yikes. So throw it all down in the comments below. We're going to do some bar talk because there's a lot more news, especially with Vitaly Kravtsov coming. And where are you, you monster?
I'm going to take a shot on this one.
I'm going to say beer. I'm buying everybody around on this. Oh, my God.
Bill Burr, by the way, has this great sketch about – oh, wait, Phil, what'd you say?
No, I was just looking how fat my face looked in those videos.
By the way, if you guys don't know this, if you're listening to this or just haven't noticed a perspective on anything, Filk has lost a chunk of weight, and we've noticed.
Yeah.
We actually we gave him nice compliments. We also asked him whether or not he got a tapeworm, but he said no. So how much are you down, Phil?
Explanation. A whole bunch of cocaine would probably do that too, but
and crystal meth would probably do it even better. But
my teeth are good, so no meth is being used. Okay,
yeah, there you go. How much are you down?
Between I would say about somewhere between 42 to 45 pounds now.
That's
Yikes!
awesome.
Wow, that's amazing. That's amazing.
Thank
I mean, I get happy when I lose 2 pant sizes. That's about it. Because I fluctuate, especially beginning of the year, and then like right now I'm in my fat phase. I'm already back at the gym trying to get that all working again. Everybody, thank you for joining us for the Big Apple Hockey Bar Talk, where we gauge our confidence on NHL topics based on our choice of drink. And there's a nice pure hockey water bottle. You know, that's not a sponsor. We could always use sponsors. No. Please, we need money.
Pure hockey, if you're listening, please.
But if you're confident about something, you want to buy everybody around. If you're not that confident, I just need a shot. And if you're just okay, I'll have a beer. So we're going to start with some of the news that was made today. Vitaly Kravtsov has been loaned to Tractor, and his loan signals the end of his time as a New York Ranger. Mr. Filkowski, I go to you.
We are buying rounds. If this was only some vodka with this, we would have Red Bull and vodkas for everybody. But yeah, I'm buying around on this. It's just, he's done. He's done. And you know what the sad part is you have a team with an anemic offense that needs right wing depth, especially after you traded your best right winger away for a bottom 6 winger. And don't get me wrong, I practice nuance. So I love Sammy Blais so far, but I still hate the Buchnevich trade because you could have gotten Sammy Blais for a prospect and a 3rd round pick or something else. So yeah, this team started for offense. They mishandled yet another top 10 pick, and now he doesn't want to play for them. He's done. Especially after Gerard Gallant reached out, what was it, about a month back or so, and stated that he tried to get Vitaly Kravtsov to rejoin the team. You could have had your guy come in. There's probably a 0.001% chance that he rejoins the Rangers. So I'm buying around here.
Anthony?
Oliver Wahlstrom looks pretty good right now, huh?
You son of a bitch.
It's funny when he scored that goal against Nashville, when you said what a shot that was, and like this is just going to probably grind the gears of a lot of Ranger fans who just.
Do you want me to go over there and punch you? Is that what you're looking for right now?
We'll jump right in the car and drive out there.
You gotta go round. I know with today's comments, kind of PC type of comments and whatnot. They said the right things, kind of left the door open, but I see it going the way of Elias Anderson. You get loaned out, you eventually get traded. I think that's exactly what's going to happen. Whether it come the trade deadline where maybe the Rangers are in it and they want to get some scoring, they use him as a piece, or in the summertime they move him. I think it's just inevitable. But in the meantime, this move allows him to at least play, in the second best league in the world, I guess you could say. And hopefully, he produces, and maybe that kind of ups his trade value and interest even more. But I would be shocked if he ever plays a game for the Rangers.
I want to buy around just to agree and say I'd be shocked if he plays. But I'm going to go beer, and the reason why I'm going to do that, I'm going to get a nice big one that covers Anthony's face and mine. I'm going to use this for an example. Where's Vladimir Tarasenko playing right now? St. Louis. He's still in St. Louis, even though he asked for a trade. He vehemently wanted out. Sometimes these situations, I know you're sighing, Filk, but sometimes these situations have a way of fixing themselves. If he goes through the KHL season, let's say this is a possibility. He goes through the KHL season, the Rangers really need help on the right wing. They then bring him over. They guarantee him a spot. They put him on the right wing on a better line than Brett Howden and who gives a rat's ass. And by the way, also Brett Howden. And the Rangers actually get him and he flourishes. Then you just save the entire thing. It's not likely going to happen. I don't see it happening, and it's very, very,
yeah.
very
There's a possibility, but you got to remember they've played games with him twice now, and you have a general manager who lets his emotions get in the way of doing business. So there's an obvious axe to grind at this point, and yes, Ariana brings up a good one. Drouin was another example for Tampa, and how they got Sergachev out of that. Steven and Tyler talked about that on Wardy yesterday. So I would tell you right now, yes, it is possible. But when you have an organization that doesn't know how to handle personalities like this one does, that personality, that chance is very, very slim. I would say microscopic at best.
Well, by the way, and you just mentioned who talked about it?
Steven and Tyler.
Yeah, it dropped the end, and it,
No, I said
sweet emotions.
Yeah, God.
Yeah, no, I was going that direction with the joke. So there you go. So
more bad jokes from Marc, everybody.
So on the topic of, I feel like punching Gordy Clark in the face right now, the Rangers should move on from FIlip. Actually, I'm going to go Anthony first.
I'm going to go beer. I think that it might be a little too early, but I think the frustrating part is he has offensive skill. He has the stick handling ability. He has the puck skills. I just don't know if he's going to do enough to where he could be responsible enough to be that prototypical third line center. I think for him to flourish, he has to be, at least the number 2 center. And on the Rangers, I mean, that's not happening this year with Zibanejad and Strome. But again, he's another guy that I could see the Rangers moving at some point, whether it be in the summer or whether I mentioned Kravtsov, maybe the trade deadline. There's someone available, and they dangle Chytil as one of the pieces. But I don't think they have to at any point. They don't have a gun to their head there. But I think he is a prime candidate if they wanted to upgrade the roster. I think he's a guy that could be used to do so. But I don't think it's anything pressing to where it could be something that they, have at the forefront here and they're actively trying to do. But I could see it happening at some point.
I'm going to jump in right on top of that, what Ariana's saying. Everything I liked about Filipino when I first saw him playing, I don't see anymore. I don't see the decisiveness. I still see the skill. Skill's there. And we know he's raw. He's a project. But I think he's probably a wing. I thought he was going to develop more into like David Krejci. He's not. And does he have the toughness to be the Rangers' third line center, or can they elevate him to second line center? Because it seems like every time they try to do it, it's not happening. Because the Rangers also got another problem because there's a bit of a donut hole at the second line center too. So that's a different day to talk about him. But Filk. Oh, sorry. Beer was what I was saying. Filk.
I'm going to go with a beer on this one too, because I'm with Ariana. I think that he doesn't have a future as a center. And this team has problems at the wing. And obviously, Barclay Goodrow does not belong in a top 6 role. I don't care what line he's on. So would it be an idea to have Barclay Goodrow as a third-line center with Alexis Lafreniere and Sammy Blais, and then have FIlip play wing with Chris Kreider and Mika Zibanejad? Because whatever's going on with these guys, they need another guy who can handle the puck and drive the play a little bit. FIlip could be that guy. I had another suggestion, which I think we'll get into in a little bit. You have a tweet on that from me, by the way. But from the outside, but I think if there's anything that needs to be done, I think FIlip needs to go to the wing in that spot, and Barclay Goodrow needs to get the hell out of the top 6 because he's an offensive black hole and can't be there. So beer here.
Well, I should have brought this up during the Rangers thing, but we'll bring it up right now. And this was the tweet from Mr. John Filkowski that if this keeps up, the Rangers should be calling Arizona about Phil Kessel sooner than you think. You cannot have zero production from your right wings, and it's clear as day that Mika Zibanejad needs another play driver. I could have had Filk read this, but instead I started reading it, and I really am just an idiot. So, Phil, finish that thought.
It's just Phil Kessel just makes a lot of sense. The team needs an experienced right winger who can skate, who can handle the puck, who can shoot. I know a lot of people are not going to be happy about that because, he's Mr. Hot Dog and he doesn't play defense and so on. And I think that, one, he's going to cost nothing because he's a 34-year-old unrestricted free agent to be. Is he going to be the same player that he was in Pittsburgh? Probably not. But if he's a guy that could come in and score, 20, 25 goals for this team for the rest of the year and then, give you a 50 to 60 point pace and be just something that could help Mika Zibanejad out on that line, then is it really that big of a deal to give it a shot, considering that you really don't have a whole lot of internal options?
Good point. And yes, I think Arizona is going to deal him way before the trade deadline. Here's my question for you. Does it matter that he's another right-handed shot?
I don't think it does really all at this point because here's the issue. Chris Kreider's a left-handed shot on the left wing. I mean, he's not a one-timer type guy. Phil Kessel is also not a one-timer type guy. The only guy that's really a one-timer guy on that line is Mika Zibanejad.
Yeah.
We just need another player that can come in and help facilitate any bit and take a little bit of the load off of Zibanejad's shoulders. And I know that some people will say, oh, well, the analytics say that he's not really good at that. Well, do the analytics also tell you that Arizona is a walking tire fire where guys like Clayton Keller have been awful since his rookie year and that nobody's on that team anymore, that Connor Garland's gone, Christian Dvorak's gone, Christian Fischer hasn't lived up to anything that
this is where I got to stop you because I'm going to need you to keep that energy for about 5 topics after this. So store that energy. If it's Metroid Dread, you're pressing down in order to do that. Because we got to go back to Mr. Anthony LaRocca right now. And the Islanders stop and start schedule will make it difficult for this team to get in a routine. Go.
I'm gonna go with a round. I think it's not prime, like I said earlier. I think it's good in the aspect of the players personally. They get to go home and, see their kids and their family. A lot of the Islander players, older guys, they have kids and they have, families and stuff. So that part's good. But so early in the season, again, it's like I mentioned earlier, it's not like they played, 50 games halfway into the season and they get this break. They just started. So as it is, they're starting to feel their legs and get going. And when you have long breaks like that, I think it definitely affects your rhythm and your ability to really get to the top of your game faster. The good part is, this is really the end of it. After this today, they finally play Montreal tomorrow. Then they have a back-to-back with Winnipeg and Minnesota on Saturday and Sunday. So like I said, it is ending, but I think it has hindered them. On the flip side of that, they are still managed to be 3-0-2 in the last 5 games. So hopefully they can, keep that momentum going into Montreal and take advantage of a bad team and, beat them. And then just from there, take off, finish out the road trip and then come home to some home cooking. And that arena is on the 20th is going to be unbelievable. So like I said, it's towards the end of it, but I think it's definitely affected their kind of mojo, if you will.
Filk.
Yeah, definitely. I'm buying around on this because of the fact that when you play for a coach like Barry Trotz, who's demanding very X's and O's oriented, major attention to detail, you need to be playing. Like Anthony said earlier on, it's and you even made the point, like an older team wants to be playing games, not practicing, and a younger team like the Rangers could use the practice. Yeah, With the Islanders, they need to be playing games. And with Barry Trotz, you want your players to be in that mode and to be fighting the fight every day. And that's when the Islanders start to play their best hockey, is when they start getting those consistent reps in those games and getting into their system, and everybody's bought in and everybody's back in midseason form. So yeah, you definitely need to be playing a lot more games than not. So I'm buying around on this.
I'm going to buy around on this too, and I'm just going to change gears as well, because the gears I'm changing to, we're focusing on right now. And yes, I made the point about that they would rather be playing games and seeing their families. I'm going to go past this road trip for them, because you like the month of December, because every Thursday night, the Islanders, there's 5 Thursdays, by the way, in December. The Islanders have a home game. We'll be figuring out which one of those we're going to go to soon. Then you have January, where they're jam-packed with I mean, the most they have off in January in one shot is 2 days. Then they go to the Olympic break. So then there's 17 days off, and presumably Pelech, Varlamov, Matthew Barzal, maybe Anders Lee. There's a bunch of guys that are going to go. So the rest of the team ain't going to be skating. And then in March, again, they have 1 3-day off period, and then they don't see 4 days off in a row until April. So their schedule is jam-packed post-Olympic break. That's not what you need for an older team. So the good thing is they know how to handle it. They got one of the best coaches in the league, and they already have that planned. So it's gonna make it difficult, but again, they're all veterans. They've all been through this before. Obviously, Zach Parise, Zdeno Chara, all these other guys. So
it's a good point that Ariana makes there. I mean, and I really do think it can. The other thing that would work against this theory would be if the Islanders went out and actually got themselves another capable top 4 defenseman. So if you could do that, that would go a long way towards helping them. Lou's got to work on that. I don't know who would really be available at this point. Matthias Ekholm, like I said, would have been the perfect target for them,
and now he's not.
He's off the market. But we really don't know who else is available as of right now. But that could change in a couple of months at least. So.
All right, so that's our thoughts on the Rangers and the Islanders in our Bar Talk segment. You got other topics you want to ever throw in there? Throw them down below. We'll talk about them. And also, just what do you think? Stop and start schedule. Vitaly Kravtsov going back to Tractor, and he's done with the Rangers, or they should say they should say goodbye to Filip Chytil. I don't understand what's going on in my brain right now. So.
What's wrong with this medulla oblongata?
I got to put that clip on there. So now we're going to go around the league, and it seems like every single week we do this, everybody, but I've got to throw another team on there. The Las Vegas Golden Knights are in serious trouble. I will start this one off, and I'm going to buy everybody. I'm going to buy everybody around and put some money on 0-0 on roulette. It's their
Marc is going
they're just they don't look good. They're missing Stone and Pacioretty. It's year 400 Pete DeBoer. That's usually the year he gets fired and his teams look terrible. I mean, I'd have to double check and make sure on the coaching rank, his coaching stats. And I've seen this from Pete DeBoer teams. This happens. Somebody correct me that I'm wrong. But also, by the way, if they get Jack Eichel, then they're not getting another center or him back until probably post Olympics. And like this team is in serious trouble, and they're a Stanley Cup contender. Filk,
I'm gonna only go beer here just because they are missing some guys and they're going to get some guys back, but the center position has just been such an Achilles heel for them for a long time. It depends on how long these guys are also out for. But if you're Kevin Adams, you have to be licking your chops right now because it's really narrowed down between two teams for Jack Eichel, and one of them are the Las Vegas Golden Knights, who had Brett friggin' Howden playing number one center for them for, I think, like 5 to 10 minutes last night, and they were like, "Nah, we're done with this." So you know that the panic mode on pulling up a deal for Jack Eichel is probably raising like. It's kind of raising slowly but steadily at this point. So yeah, Vegas, they are in some trouble. I'd imagine they're going to get some guys back, but oh man, that center position is just awful depth there.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Oh my goodness, Anthony.
I mean, William Karlsson's out 4 to 6 weeks, and that's it. That's one of their top centers. So I'm going to say I'm going to go with Filk, and I'm going to go Beer as well. But I don't. It is teetering. It is teetering to being in serious trouble. The only thing is, again, it is still early. They will get. I would assuming they're going to get Stone and Pacioretty back maybe in the next 2 to 3 weeks. So if they could just, kind of hold on here and, play 500 hockey or somehow maybe a little better, I think they'll be all right. And then there's the Eichel, looming over the situation. I know it was just said the other day that apparently a deal was supposed to be like at the 1 yard line, and things were getting close. So it seems like there is a lot of smoke with that, with that fire there. And it's just a matter of is it going to be the Knights or the Flames? But again, even if they do get Eichel, they're not going to have him in the lineup right away, and they're going to have to give some assets up to get him, which you would think make their team even weaker. So I'm curious to see how that's all going to play out. But I guess if you look big picture, Stone healthy, Pacioretty healthy, William Karlsson healthy, Alex Tuck, but maybe he's a guy that goes back the other way. And then you add Jack Eichel to that mix.
That could be
that's
a
what the doctor ordered.
Yeah,
that's what the doctor ordered for them.
Although, let me just say this, as I've said, I think the last couple months, tell me when Jack Eichel's traded. I don't want to hear any more about it. And the worst part is the person that has to sometimes hear it is me, because I got to say the words out of my mouth because he's a damn news story. So thank you, Jack. This isn't even your fault. Sometimes now it's just it should have been traded the day before the draft. All parties would have been satisfied. So anyway, the Carolina Hurricanes have silenced their doubters. Anthony.
I mean, I question the moves they made in goal because I thought Nedeljkovic, obviously he was coming off a Calder finalist season, and then getting Freddie Anderson, who I thought was kind of just in Toronto. I didn't really buy into the whole. People talk about how he's this legitimate starting goaltender. I really wasn't there. And then Antti Raanta, who was kind of So I thought they took a downgrade there, and I thought they took a downgrade in their defense a little bit, but so yeah, I guess I got to go round. I mean, their start has been incredible. Freddie Anderson has been good. D'Angelo has produced for them. And then obviously Aho and Teravainen and Svechnikov, all those guys have been good. We all know what their offense can do. So yeah, I guess you got to give it the due. My thing is just to see how they hold up throughout the course of this season. I still am not like totally sold on Freddie Anderson, but maybe he proves me wrong. But listen, there's no either way. There's no doubt there. I think they're either going to be 1 or 2 in this division. So that's really a fact. But they have been a lot better than I thought they would have been. So I'm going to give them their due, and I'm going to stay around. All
right, Phil.
I'm going to say shot because it's early. It's a great start, and we all expected them to make the playoffs. We all had them as a top 3 team in the division. If this continues, talk to me when it's the playoffs though, and they are knocked out in the first or second round yet again because of the fact that their goaltending still can't get it done, and their defense come playoff time just isn't good enough to play against better teams. They'll score and they'll win games against bad teams in the regular season and even some better teams. But again, it's regular season hockey. This club was criticized for making the moves they made, and then especially with their moves in net because they needed a goaltender to get them over the hump. And I'm still not convinced that come playoff time it'll happen. So I'm shocked.
I gotta agree with you. Shot. And I posed this question, and I really wanted to go with beer or even around. But here's the truth: Freddie Anderson's due for his yearly injury. he's due for getting worn down because he's playing a lot. I forgot who their backup goalie is.
Antti
Ranta. Thank you. All right, Antti Ranta's a picture of health as well. So, I mean, once you start losing goaltenders, then everything else falls. So we'll see about that. But look, Rod Brind'Amour's doing a great job. But again, they're about an injury or two away to just being an also-ran. So we'll see about that. Going to a coach that's doing a really good job right now, and I think he's done a good job since last year. Don Granato will be a Jack Adams finalist when this season is over. Filk?
I'm going to say shot.
Okay.
And I can't I think that he should get a lot of recognition if they finish with, I would say, more than 60 to 65 points, because that roster is really not that good. And if you look at the standings right now, Buffalo is third in their division, and yes, they're 5-3-1 in 9 games, and it's still an early start. And I don't think this is going to last. I really don't. And it's a nice little story for Buffalo for them to be winning without Jack Eichel and all the stuff that happened with that clown show of a circus, throughout the offseason with Adams and Eichel and all that other crap. But I just don't see it staying. I don't. And eventually other teams are going to start to come in. They're going to play more Western teams. They're going to play better teams that are probably going to put a little bit of a beating on them. But I've got to give Don Granato a lot of credit because that team comes to fight every damn game. And good for him for doing that. But I don't think he's going to be a finalist. I do think he'll get votes, but not a finalist. So shot.
Anthony.
Shot. They're having success. They're having success now. And if that continued throughout the whole year, then yeah, he would get votes and maybe even be a finalist. But I don't think this is going to last for that much longer. I mean, who knows? Maybe they're like this, this surprise run in a formidable team, but I just can't see it lasting that long. And because of that, despite a good start, the guy's not going to be a Jack Adams finalist. That was coaching a bad team. So, again, talk to me in February or March, and they're still playing at this level, then my answer changes drastically. But right now, no shot. But I will give him credit. He has the Sabres ready to play every game, and they're playing hard. And good for Sabre fans because I know they were the butt of the joke pretty much the whole off season, and it's nice to see them have some success early on. I just don't think it's going to last long enough.
Yeah, and by the way, Mike, you're right about that. Shameless self-promotion is something that I gotta really get better at. I want to hear. I mean, it's hard for me to do that, but I mean, I put all the graphics in there later. I'm gonna go beer, guys, and the reason why I'm gonna grow with that is because I'm gonna think shades of Roger Nielsen in 1994 when he had an expansion team with the Florida Panthers. If he can get to an 80-point team. I know Filk said it at 65. 65 is still not that good. But if you can get to 80 points, that's a different story. And I think I think he would get more recognition on that. That roster, it's not made for long-term success or wins, and he's right now getting it. So, and by the way, Anthony, you want to talk about the being the butt of the joke? One of my favorite ones was that the New York Mets were going to win a game before the Buffalo Sabres. That's what I threw out there last year.
Yeah.
And they won the day before opening day in baseball.
Yep.
So, and then the Mets got COVID and they didn't play the first one anyway. All right. From the Buffalo Sabres to a team with loftier goals than them, Andrew Brunette can lead Florida to their lofty goals this season. I originally had the word Stanley Cup in there, but let's face it, as much as we all think Florida is going to be very good, Stanley Cup is still a lot to expect from this year. Okay, Anthony, go ahead. Can Brunette do this year? And consider the job that he's got. He's got a team that's really good, but also dealing with some controversy.
Mark, I think you can lead them to their lofty goals this year if you were behind the bench. They got a really talented roster. Quenneville was a really good coach, but I don't think, with Andrew Brunette behind the bench that they're all of a sudden going to take a, nosedive. I think they're going to challenge Tampa Bay for the division. I ultimately think they win it, but they're going to be a really good team. They're for real. The drop off from Quenneville to Brunette's significant, but again, I don't think it's going to matter too much. They have too much talent on this roster. Barkov, Huberdeau, Verhaeghe, Sam Bennett's been a new player.
Sam Reinhart.
Sam Reinhart, yeah.
Yeah, Bobrovsky's back on the top of his game. Spencer Knights is real formidable in goal. Lundell has been great for them before he got hurt. The list goes on and on. I think this is easy. It's a round. I think ultimately, maybe do they look for a more permanent replacement? Sure, but I think as time goes on, if they keep winning, they may give Andrew Brunette a real look to take the interim tag off of him if they keep having success.
For those of you that weren't listening, Anthony believes so much in that answer, he shook his camera 3 times. So as he hit his hand on his desk. Filk.
Andrew Brunette had worn a letter, I believe, on 2 or 3 different teams that he played on. That's a man who was a leader in his day as a player. And I think with everything that's going on with Quenneville and the fact that they're still playing very well despite all of it, goes to show you that he has a grasp on how to keep his players focused on the tasks at hand. And to me, you're pretty much, you knew my answer from what I was saying. But yes, I am buying around on this because that roster is beyond talented. Anthony pointed out all the things. And one other thing I'm going to say in regards to Florida's roster is that if they go out and get one proven top 4 defender by the deadline, that looks like a legitimate Stanley Cup threat. That looks like a favorite to win it all if they get a top 4 defender. So, yes, I'm buying around.
And there's lots of, you know what? You guys are actually convincing me to say around, but I'm still going to stick with beer just for the sake of saying beer, because you're going from, regardless of what's going on, one of the guys with one of the greatest coaching records of all time.
Such a contrarian.
To a rookie coach on his first team. Now, if this happened later in the year, let's say this happened in January or so, I'm on board. Lots of guys have gotten their first coaching opportunity and won a Stanley Cup or replaced one.
I'm going to give you a name, not a rookie coach at that time, but I'm going to give you a name.
Why did you just cut to me?
I don't know why you did that. That was
that was an accident.
Okay.
Well, Anthony, there you go. But I'm going to give you a name for a guy that came in mid-season and ended up winning it all. Larry Robinson.
Actually, it wasn't even mid-season. It was later.
It was later in the season. He came in, and that was after Robbie Ftorek threw the bench onto the ice and then got fired. Yeah. And what does he do? Comes in and wins the damn Stanley Cup and then takes the Devils to the Game 7 of the finals the next year against the Avalanche. And Patrick Waugh just was Patrick Waugh, and they won. And Avalanche won. But I'm looking at Larry Robinson.
By the way, who was on that Colorado team that year?
Ray Bourque.
Who else more specifically right now?
Rob Blake.
Chris Drury. I was trying to get that.
Drury, yeah. Chris Drury was, yes.
Yes. But yeah, there's lots of cases where that's happened. So it can happen. I'm not as confident on that, but still, like I said, the last guy I think that came in late, and he was even later, was was Dan Bylsma. But if Brunette, you know what? You guys are right. He's been through teams like Minnesota, Ward A with them. Believe he had it when he was with Colorado as well. And he's the guy's a leader. So hopefully they can do this for him. Andrew Brunette's he was a good player.
He was.
Yeah,
he
was
like point guy 1 year.
So the one reason why I told Filk he had to save his energy when we was talking about that Coyotes before was because the Coyotes will get 50 points. To put this in perspective, we're 10 games in, they got 1. I'll start with Anthony.
I mean, what was it, the 2016-2017 series season? Colorado had, 48 points?
Yeah. Oh, God. They were awful.
So they were really, really bad.
And that's with Nate McKinnon.
I think Arizona is going to be that bad. I really do. Shane Gostisbehere, all right? Shane Gostisbehere leads the team in points. So, that's bad. He's got 5 points. He's got 5 points, and that leads the team. I mean, I'm seeing the same thing you are, Phil, but I'm just powering through this.
Whoa, yeah. I'm sorry, Ant. I don't mean to, but
they're bad. They're bad. Their goaltending's bad. Carter Hutton's bad. Although that guy Karel Vizhamilka, or however you pronounce his last name, he's got like a .922 save percentage, but yet he's 0-6, so he's been good. But this team's bad. Kessel's going to be gone. Louis Eriksson, Andrew Ladd. I mean, get out of here. Give me a break. So I'm gonna go shot on this.
For a second, I thought I had to be by around, but no, it's shot. It's definitely shot. They're not getting to 50. Phil, I'm going to let you take a lot of this away, so I'm going to be as quick as possible. They ain't getting 50. I'm going to leave that shot guy up there. It's just, I feel bad for everyone in that situation, but you know what? Hopefully the NHL doesn't screw him and they give him Shane Wright, and then they can rebuild this franchise, because I know if Arizona is probably going to be my future destination soon, I would like to at least still have a hockey team out there and not in Houston. Okay, give it over to you, Phil.
So, yeah, like Anthony was saying, Shane Gostisbehere leads the team with 5 points in 10 games. Their next 3 scorers are Phil Kessel with a goal and 3 assists, Lawson Krause with 2 goals and 2 assists, and Clayton Keller, who was once Rookie of the Year material, 3 goals and an assist. Those are your top 4 scorers. And then your next 2 tied for 5th, Johan Larsson with 3 assists and Christian Fischer with 2 goals and an assist. This team is bad. This team is historical levels of bad. Like, we're going to approach like the inaugural Washington Capitals and then 1993 Ottawa Senators levels of bad with this team. And Vejmelka, like Anthony said, has been solid in net for them, despite how bad the roster in front of him actually is. But holy shit, this team is just awful.
Anthony, was he the guy that played the Islanders?
Yeah, he was in goal against the Islanders. Yeah,
he was good, but he also let in a couple goals. Like their saves that they needed to get. Yeah. And he let those in. But I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying that is what happened.
Yeah, I don't see any way that this team can get more than 50 points or more. I don't see it at all. I don't see where the offense comes from. I know Jacob Chychrun had a big year, but if you look at Jacob Chychrun's numbers from last year, he led the league in goals by a defenseman with 18. And I believe the shooting percentage, I'm trying to pull this up now, just with all the stuff that I have open right now. It's just loading.
Anthony, as he pulls that up, what's Phil's favorite stat?
What? Shooting percentage.
Shooting percentage.
Yeah. He shot at a 10. He shot at a 10.2 shooting percentage. Do you know how hard that is to get a double-digit shooting percentage as a defenseman? As a defenseman, and then to keep it up over a period of 56 games last year and then into this year, there's no way that that's going to sustain. It's not. It's just completely unsustainable, and you're not going to get that same type of offensive production, even points wise, out of Jacob Chytil. If you look at his numbers right now, he's got 0 points in 10 games as a -16, and plus minus is not really a stat that I would use to
not for this season, not with him.
Not no, but -16, and it just goes to show you how bad this is for this franchise in general, and the fans. I feel bad for the fans. They were, I mean, it was a fluke run for them to be in that bubble in the playoff, the play-in, and they got smacked in it. But everything has just gone so far downhill since then. And John Chayka screwed them so bad with losing the picks, and getting a whole bunch of first-round picks this year really, really helps. And like you said, Shane Wright would go a long, long way for Arizona. They need him desperately. So,
well, we got one more topic, and we're just going to have a very brief, honest press conference as well. And then we're going to do an editorial and then write the Q&A. So this one's going to be brief, but Brad Aldrich should also lose his Stanley Cup rings. I'm already going to buy everybody around and say he not only should be in prison, but every time somebody sees him on the street, he should be kicked in the nuts. Anyone?
Buying everybody everywhere rounds. Because not only should not only should the name have been removed from the cup as it was today, but you're right. That man should be in prison and should rot in there for the rest of his life. So I'm all for kicking him in the nuts publicly because somehow he won't go to prison for all this. So every time he's seen in the street, I'm okay with him getting tied up and everybody going by and getting a free kick in the nuts on him.
And is it a question? I mean, round. I mean, the guy was a predator. He really should be in jail for a very long time. He doesn't deserve Stanley Cup rings. People like that, they're just scum of the earth, and there's no place in society for him.
Now, by the way, his name was removed from the cup, but they X'd it out, which they have to actually stamp on X's on top of everything. So it's a good thing his name was removed, but it shouldn't have been on there in the first place, as we could have all alluded to before.
Yeah.
Yes. That also leads to a topic on everything else above my pay grade. Oh, look, Phil got better looking too. All right.
Can we just quickly address that tweet that Kevin Weeks sent?
Oh, what tweet is this?
Did you see the comment? So he's saying that from what he understands is that the Flames have a potential offer or on the table of Matthew Tkachuk going to Buffalo, a first-round pick, a former first-round pick, wherever that is, and 2 prospects. And I mean, let me tell you, we've all bashed Kevin Adams and this and that, but if he pulls Matthew Tkachuk in this deal and then gets a first and whoever those other prospects are, a former first round pick, I mean that would be a huge win. I mean, I would have to go get some crow, sit back down, and I would have to just eat it because I wouldn't think he would be able to get a player like Matthew Tkachuk in return for Jack Eichel. As far as that former first round pick, if you scan the roster maybe on Cap Friendly, could that be Juuso Valimaki, first round pick a couple of years ago? But I mean, damn, that would be a really good deal for Buffalo, and I don't see how Vegas would top that because I mean.
Monahan would probably have to go back the other way, or actually, well, no, Tkachuk would be the salary, but I mean, I guess now because they're around the same age, and Tkachuk is going to cost more than the $7 million. I don't think he's worth much more than the $7 million right now, Matthew Tkachuk. But I don't get why Calgary is looking to do this when Calgary is playing well, and I don't know. I don't know if I like that deal for Calgary. I like it for Buffalo a lot, I tell you that, but I do not like that for Calgary. And
I'm
nobody,
not sure if I like those draft picks either for Calgary, for Buffalo. I would want a little bit more.
I mean, if they're talking about Matthew Tkachuk, a former first-round pick and an upcoming first-round pick, Valimaki makes a ton of sense. Any other first-rounders that I could think of on this roster, there really isn't right now, other than Monahan. But, I mean, if you sent Tkachuk and Monahan to Buffalo for Eichel, that would be a tremendous overpayment too.
I mean, I don't see that. I mean, then you're talking something else other than Eichel would have to go to Calgary if it was both of them, which I don't. I mean,
yeah, I don't see that.
Again, it's the problem is trying to trade Jack Eichel is what is his value? You would know what his value is if he had back surgery already and was playing games.
That's incredible value though. If they got Matthew Tkachuk and a first-round pick. And
okay, but what if Calgary wants to
Pelletier?
Yeah,
that'd be somebody.
That could be a good one, Chris T.
I mean, but what if Calgary wants to know if they're going to get a bad bill of goods? You test drive a car before you buy it. You wouldn't get a $10 million a year center for the next 5 years without checking on him. I mean, that's what all these teams are going to have to do. So again, we're still miles away from the Jack Eichel situation being settled.
I don't see how Vegas tops that though, because who would they offer that? That's what
you got to put in Krebs.
Yeah, but I think Tkachuk at this point is more valuable than Krebs.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot more valuable.
I just don't know if I like a winger over to replace my franchise center. That's another thing I don't know.
If that happens, man,
how's that working out for Columbus? So it's what I'll go back to that one.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good point. It's a very good point.
All right. So, guys, everybody, thank you very much for joining us on the Bar Talk. Do you think Carolina silenced their critics? Speaking about Buffalo, Don Granato, Jack Adams, are they going to be mentioned in the same sentence? Andrew Burnett leading the Florida Panthers and Coyotes, 50 points? Nah, 49. So, put it all down in the comments below. And, we haven't had one of these in a while. We want to do a quick one. We're going to do an honest press conference.
Connor, can you give me your sense of kind of where the group is at?
Once again, my teammates come up short.
Now, by the way, just in that video clip where you can notice Mr. John Volkowski lost some weight with that. Wow. You know what? You brought it up, and now I can really see it. All right. So, everybody, welcome to Honest Press Conferences, where we say what the players or executives really want to say. And there is only going to be one honest press conference, as I'm going to have to buy some time because Filk turned off his camera for a minute. By the way, just as a reminder, we're doing our first ever bar meetup. It's going to be in Hicksville at Timeout Cafe. That'll be on November 28th, where the New York Rangers will take on the New York Islanders. And it's going to be a fun atmosphere, a lot of smack talk, hopefully a lot of shots. Come on down. We're going to be doing giveaways, raffles, and it's going to be a great time. It's always going to be great to meet everybody face to face. But we have to go with our press conference, and that is Mr. John Volkowski as Vitaly Kravtsov.
So I've been jerked around again for the second time by this team. And I don't know if anybody saw Mr. Staples' article, but Arthur kind of hit it on the head of the nail. I was berated by my now general manager, who was then the assistant general manager, Chris Drury, in front of the team. I told him I didn't want to go down to Hartford and make pennies to the dollar as to what I would be making in the NHL and play for them. I already had a problem with Chris Knobloch down there. And I really don't care for playing in this organization anymore. That's why I have my Tractor Chelyabinsk jersey on right now, because I don't care for the Rangers anymore. I'm done with this garbage. This organization doesn't know how to handle personalities. You know what? You guys need offense. You could have had me, but now I'm going to go play for Tractor again because you guys screwed that up big time. You had a chance, and I could have came in and I could have helped, but no, you decided that you wanted to play a fringe NHLer in Dryden Hunt over me. You decided that you wanted to protect Libor Hayek, who isn't even a top 4 AHL level defenseman. But yeah, so you screwed it all up again, and now you're going to have to live with me being gone. You'll probably get maybe a second-round pick at best, just like you did for Elias Anderson. And I'll go on and I'll go and play really good hockey for another team that'll actually take the time to develop me the right way. And I'll show this organization that they were stupid for mishandling me the way that they did. Questions, anybody?
Yes, I'm hitting it. Okay. Anthony?
So, Vitaly, when the Rangers made the trade of to send Pavel Buchnevich to the St. Louis Blues, did that, in your mind, kind of solidify the belief that you were definitely going to be playing up on the big club this season?
Well, it wasn't just that. It was also the fact that they told me not to go to rookie camp. And why would you tell a player like myself to not go to rookie camp when, the idea was that I was going to have to actually fight for a spot? And listen, I'm not saying that I'm perfect or anything like that. There was some rumors about my conditioning, which was baseless, unfounded. I actually was playing through an injury through training camp and the preseason, and I still put up more points than guys like Dryden Hunt, who you can obviously see is not an NHL level player. Julien Gauthier, who some people try to say outplayed me, but that's wrong. That's a crock of crap. And others that are on that roster. This is the second time this has happened. And for all the people that want to say things like, oh, well, you would have been the first call-up. Well, why is Julien Gauthier not playing? And why is Greg McKegg playing right now instead of Julien Gauthier? Why was Michael Haley on an NHL roster over me 2 years ago? Why was Brendan Smith at forward on an NHL roster when he's a defenseman on an NHL roster 2 years ago over me? Obviously, there's a disconnect. And guys like Larry Brooks and Molly Walker, they're employed by the New York Post. And the New York Post for years has been basically used as a kind of like a manipulation tool of the media for the organization for years. And I think you guys should all know this by now because Larry tends to have a little fun sometimes at our expense. But he also tends to negotiate through the media for the team. Not that anybody knows how that works or anything like that, apparently. But yeah, we're Arthur Staple comes out and exposes the entire organization for being a bunch of children and the general manager for not knowing how to put his emotions aside. So yeah, I don't really care for these games anymore. I'm done. I've had it. I've reached my limit. You had your chance. And I thought you would have learned from last time, but no, they wanted to spite me and they wanted to just send me back to somewhere where I wasn't happy with being. And there's more to it. Maybe one day I'll put out a book and I'll tell you about how bad things are in the AHL so that way we could have another scandal on our hands exposed. I'm sure the NHL would love that, especially after everything that's happened with the Blackhawks. So.
By the way, Mike, it's like the Hunt for Red October. We could have just zoomed in with Filk speaking Russian and then come back and he's speaking English. Vitaly, I have to ask you this one. Do you think you kind of went back to Russia a little bit too early? Because if you could have waited, just skated on your own, team could have called you back up.
I
might
just
not have been the
answered,
first call up, as we
I
said
just
before.
answered that though. It's the same thing as it was with the previous coach.
Okay, then
Let
where
me-
do you want
let
to?
me-
Where's a place you'd like to go?
Anywhere but here at this point. That's kind of why my agent Darren Milstein came out and said that about 3-4 weeks ago now.
Mm-hmm.
I told him I would play in the AHL for almost any other team than the Rangers at this point. So why are that argument about the whole next man up thing? It's crap. It's garbage. Stop perpetuating it because it's not real. It's not real at all. And if it was real, then maybe someone else with some skill would have been called up as opposed to a fringe NHL player like Greg McKegg, who's more vanilla than Brett Howden. Can we stop with the lies now?
All right. Well, hopefully this all works out, Vitaly, and we see you back in March.
The Rangers can go take a nice long walk off of a short pier for all I care.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us.
Well, thanks.
Thank you.
Will, that was Vitaly Kravtsov, or coming through Filk's mouth. Actually, wait, that's bad phrasing. That was
We might want to try that again.
That was Vitaly Kravtsov's words going out of Filk, and we want to. It's great to do an honest press conference again. We got to get more of these in there. But how do you think the Vitaly Kravtsov saga is all going to end? Throw it down in the comments below, guys, and don't forget to leave us a like. Does anybody have any other editorials but me? All right.
No.
I'll try to make it quick. It's something you guys are all going to like, and then we're going to do some Q&A. So let's do an on the mark. This prediction that's right up here.
Being single most of my life.
Or just yell at Larry Brooks like every other New York Ranger. So on top of working just a ton of hours recently, I have been able to enjoy myself when I'm not working on this podcast, this channel, and working at the bar that I work at. I picked up Metroid Dread, and it has been phenomenal. It has been a renaissance, and it's so great when you give something back to the fans that they want to see and just experience all over again. And that's what brings me to NHL hockey. And you might know it as the NHL series. I don't remember it as NHL hockey on the Sega Genesis, where my brother Dan showed me the first advertisement for the video game. It says, we're going to get this. We're going to have tournaments. It's going to be awesome. First game didn't even have any players' names. Then NHLPA came out. I had the players' names, but not the team names. And then NHL 93 came out, and then we were able to finally get both. It's been a love-hate relationship with EA, and I can't even recall the last time they put out a great game that you actually loved this game, and I didn't buy this year's. I didn't buy last year's. The Be a Pro has been stripped down. The franchise mode, they used to give you so much and have replay value, and then you bought the next game because you needed the new rosters. But now, Hockey Ultimate Team, the threes, I mean, what am I really playing this game for now? It's the same move, same time. I know that they just put out the new one for PlayStation 5, and I can easily pick that one up with a Frostbite engine, but it's also got more bugs than a Chinese food restaurant. So the league needs to end their contract with EA Sports and find some other sports, other publishers that care about their games. Because when you give something to the fans, that they'll come back for more and more and more, as long as it's good. We're not taking mediocre garbage anymore. And you're starting to see that with the John Madden franchise. You're starting to see that with NHL, which was a better franchise than John Madden for the last 20 years. And now, I mean, I'm going to bring the guys in on this to talk about this right now. Guys, what was the last NHL you played?
Your volume, I think, is low, by the way.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I'm having like I can hear you, but like Anthony comes in super loud for whatever reason, and then I don't know why.
Yeah, when you were talking, I was reading the comments, and a lot of people were saying they can't hear you.
All right.
Your
How about
mic's very
now? Can
low.
everybody hear me now? Yeah. You guys hearing me? Good.
I can hear you, but it's faint.
This is weird.
Yeah, I can hear you. I can hear you. It's not a matter of I can't hear you. I can hear you. It's just it's low.
It's very low. Yeah, we can hear you. It's just like Anthony said, very very
Okay,
low.
how about this? Can you guys hear me a little bit better now?
No,
it's the same.
Jeez. What the fuck happened? All right. Well, I'm gonna. So it's coming in low. All right, great.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on there.
Test. Yeah, that's really low. All right, I'm just gonna switch to the gonna switch to this right now. Is that still low?
It's still low, but it's a little higher.
Yeah, it's a little higher.
All right. Well, I'm going through the camera right now.
Yeah, Brody pointed out a good point. And Sean, after you did the on the Marc video, like
everything just went down.
Yeah. I don't know.
All right.
It's weird.
So anyway, I'll raise up the volume on it, but guys, so going back to NHL, when was the last one that you owned?
Last year's.
Yeah, I had 20. I had 21, but the last one I bought before 21, and I only bought 21 out of sheer boredom. I don't really even play it that much, to tell you the truth. But the last one I bought before that I actually played a lot of was 14. After 14, they're just terrible. 15 was bad. 16, 17, 18, 19. I feel like 16 through like 20 was 16 through 21 is basically the same game. I haven't played 22, so I can't.
Yeah, really... I haven't played 22s only because, I mean, I really honestly don't play. I rarely play video games anymore. But if I was gonna buy it, I mean, I would just rather play it on the next gen platform, which obviously, as you know, it's like almost impossible to get a PS5 or an Xbox right now. I think Walmart recently had a restock on the PlayStation 5, but apparently, from what I understand, it was like they were gone like within like, a couple of minutes. It seemed like so. Maybe if I eventually pick up one of those new systems, then maybe I'd get the game. But I haven't bought the current version.
By the way, how am I coming in right now?
Still pretty low.
Still low, yeah.
All right. It's just the entire thing with EA as a company is just absolutely ridiculous. They just went with money. They went with the ultimate franchises, and they completely forsaken everything else. I mean, hell, they started with Star Wars Battlefront and such. So it's just they need to move on to another publisher, and basically what Electronic Arts used to be as well. They're trying to put out the best product all the time. They're not doing that anymore. That's what's good.
Yeah, if 2K still made games, that would help. But even 2K's games weren't nearly as good as EA's for the longest time. I would say, yeah, Marc, if you tried leaving and then rejoining, maybe that would help.
Yeah, all right. I'm gonna do that, guys. Sorry.
Yeah. So, but
what is he doing?
Marc just left, and he's gonna rejoin. But
all right, how's that?
Still kind of low.
Still low.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening right now with his thing. It's ridiculous, but the EA franchise is just bad. I gotta change your thing, Anthony. I'm sorry. I'm looking at it. Oh no, I can't do it. You'd have to do that.
What, his headshot?
Yeah, his headshot. Yeah.
Mark.
So, I don't understand how EA could get so well. Actually, I do understand how they could get so complacent and not really give a crap anymore, because they continue to put out literally the same game with one tweak yearly, and people still eat it up and eat it up and eat it up and buy it.
Well,
because it's literally the only game out there.
That's the issue. People are still going to buy it. Like, I don't know if you remember, 2K used to make hockey games, and then once they got it was the only option. EA. I mean, what really needs to happen is another platform developer needs to get back in the game and develop a hockey game, because then that will push and give EA more motivation to really make their game the best. And right now, they don't have that pressure.
It's so funny because I draw the parallel to wrestling, that AEW came along, and now WWE, who has been putting out bad product for, I would say, 3 years now. I think the last time I was really invested in WWE's main card was 2017. Was a good year for them on their main card on Raw and SmackDown. But AEW has come along, and AEW is way better than WWE at this point. New Japan is way better than WWE at this point. And they're putting out great product. And now WWE needs to step their game up. But for some reason, they continue. Vince McMahon just doesn't care. But you're right. And there needs competition needs to come out and needs to be able to breed some sort of level of efficiency here, because we're not getting anything from EA anymore from their NHL games. And I'm not going to buy NHL 22 because from what I'm hearing, it's the same exact game as 21.
Yeah. I mean, it seems that way. That's what I hear too. But the only thing I know it's different is they brought back the Frostbite engine. So, that might make some sort of a difference.
Yeah, I don't get it. I don't get it anymore.
Well, the Frostbite engine is supposed to be a lot better.
Yeah, but it's... I've seen footage of the game. The game looks the same exact way.
Yeah.
I don't understand what we're even supposed to do with it. I guess Marc is rebooting his computer. So
I guess so. I mean, is there any other news from really around the league wise? Not really. Like player movement, it's all pretty stagnant right now still.
Yeah, there's nothing else that's out there. I'm trying to see if there's anything more from Kevin Weeks. Maybe our friend Dave Pagnotta with anything.
Still that offer from Calgary. I mean, that
makes no sense
for Buffalo's for Buffalo's standpoint. I mean, but good for listen. If they could get that, good for them. I mean, that would be an awesome deal for Kevin Adams.
Yeah, Dave Pagnotta's got nothing nothing else. I checked Elliot Friedman before. I'm going to check him again to see if there's anything else.
The one thing I'll say about Kevin Weeks is usually like when he tweets something, like it happens like within like almost like minutes, like after like one of his tweets. Like if he tweets about like what he's hearing about a trade or any sort of thing, usually it happens pretty soon after. So we'll see if something's actually close.
Yeah, usually. So.
Is Marc coming? Did you text Marc to see if he's coming?
Yeah,
back?
I'm back in. I'm on my cell phone right now. I don't know what happened to my Yeti microphone, which was actually a studio microphone. So, yay, awesome.
I heard the commentary in the background from Anthony's microphone.
Oh, I didn't hear it. What was it?
I want supper, I think.
Yeah, don't we all?
Yeah.
Who do I think is the worst hockey insider?
Yeah,
What?
let's go on the Q&A. And
I think they're all pretty, everyone's pretty good. I mean, I don't, I would say Friedman's probably the top right now. Pagnotta's come a long way.
I think Saravalli's the best guy right now.
Yeah,
Saravalli's good.
I could make a case for Saravalli and Friedman, but worst is hard. I mean, I can't really think of
the hard part about saying worst is we're trying to venture into them being colleagues, so it's hard to start ripping. But I mean
Eklund, but I wouldn't consider Eklund an insider at all.
No,
that's like the definition of somebody that's bad. Everybody else is just really how connected.
Eklund is a wannabe. He's he had his moment with the Richards and Carter breaks because he had sources in Philly back then, but he's more of a wannabe than anything.
I mean, Carpinello really irritated me on the summer to the point when it was after the golf outing that I had that I decided to do a special because. And I was half in the bag. I mean, I'll be honest with you guys. But it was just, how do you go and say that a player is going to be moved when there's little chance of that happening? The guy's got a no-move clause. But whatever, guys just want to make their news and then say, hey, we're going to do this. Get these all back in the right orders. What we got? Do you guys see Rampage signed?
It's really a nothing kind of signing. I don't really expect anything out of him.
Yeah.
And Carp isn't really an insider. He's a journalist, like Bobby said. So yeah.
Yeah, those are like individual beat writers for specific teams. Like I wouldn't consider guys like Carp and Larry Brooks insiders.
Yeah. Zach Jones might be getting a shot sooner than we think. I think if you're still getting not much out of Nemeth and Tenorti, you're going to need Jones.
Yeah, I think the Rangers should give him a chance, and I think he's better than Nemeth, better than Tenorti probably, or at least can't be any worse at this point. And it's the same way I feel about Robin Salo. Robin Salo should get his chance right now. The guy's playing very well in the AHL. He skates fast. He can move the puck. It's time. But I don't know if the Rangers are in a bit of a situation. Like Keandre Miller can pass through waivers. So they don't have to worry about how to get him up. On the flip side, the Islanders have to worry how to get Salo up because there's only one guy on the roster that's free to go down to Bridgeport that waivers, and that's Oliver Wahlstrom, which clearly isn't happening. He's the best goal scorer. So to get him on the roster, you'd have to waive somebody. And you know how Big Lou is. Big Lou doesn't like to risk someone that he thinks
No, he does not.
Obviously, guys like Leo Comar, Hickey, he has no problem waiving them because he knows they're going to clear. But he's not going to waive Kiefer Bellows because he's afraid of someone claiming him. He's not going to waive Sebastian Aho because he's still afraid of someone claiming him. But you got to find a way to get Robin Salo up on the team.
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't think that. I don't think you can keep Keandre Miller in that spot. At the very least, the pairings have to change. If not, I would say send Keandre Miller down because he's just been brutal. He really has, and he's not helping Jacob Trouba out, and that pairing just doesn't belong. Patrick Nemeth is not lasting beyond this season. You could get a Patrick Nemeth level defenseman for about $2 million less of what he makes. Almost I would say $1.75 million less could get you a comparable defender, and you could save that against the cap. And so, yeah.
I answer this one. I'm gonna say no because you still need a really, really good defenseman to be on your second pair. So there would be nothing but a good problem if Noah Dobson ascends to his ceiling. That'd be great to have Pelech and Pollock on the top pair, and then you have a guy like Noah Dobson on the second pair. I mean, that'd be a dream for the Islanders, and I think Noah Dobson will get there. Defensemen come along more slowly, and he has progressed. He's jumping into the play a little bit more, showing more of his offensive side. And I think that he's going to be a very good defenseman. But as I said earlier, the Islanders right now have split up that pair of Pelech and Pollock because of the situation they have with Green and Chara, which you didn't see at all last year. But now this year, every game, you see Pelech playing with Mayfield. You see Chara playing with Pollock. So Trotz has had to adapt there. And that's what good coaches do. Good coaches adapt. And that's exactly what he's doing. But I think if you see the Islanders acquire, let's say, I'm just going to throw a name out there like Hampus Lindholm or someone of that ilk, I think he'll go back to his normal pairings. But for now, until they get a stronger left-handed shot defenseman to play on the second pair, you're going to see the mixed bag.
Anthony, do you think the Islanders made a mistake getting rid of Gustafsson?
No, because he is very flawed defensively. Yeah, he's good offensively, but I guess, well, two things. One, I think it was Dreger that said it, or LeBron. They couldn't come to terms on a contract because they didn't have the cap space. That's one. But then also, two, they felt that Noah Dobson can play on the power play and produce points. And obviously, they know what Ryan Pollock could bring on the power play. So I guess they felt that based on their cap situation and that Gustafsson was shaky defensively, I think they ultimately made that right move. I will say this, Mark. Let's say if Erik Gustafsson was a lot better defensively and could still do what he does offensively, I think they would have found a way to make it work. But because he's suspect, I guess they figured let's not even worry about trying to shuffle the deck here and move more bodies. But to that point, Mark, what I will say is if you look back to 2 years ago, the Islanders' left side defense depth chart was Pelech, Nick Leddy, Devon Taves. I mean, that was incredible. That was incredible. And now look, now it's on the left side, it's Pelech, Chara, and Green. So the last 2 years, they took a hit on skill, speed, and talent on defense. But, that's just the nature of the salary cap world, my friends.
And it's sad because if you were able to move Leddy 2 years ago, you would still have Devon Taves.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. It's and that's the thing. That's why you couldn't sign Chris Kreider and Jacob Trouba to those contracts. Now you're going to have to. Now there's a problem until there's a problem until there are no movement clauses go off.
You were hoping that was going to be a problem in 2023, not 2021.
Yeah.
I still think Jacob Trouba's got something to give this organization. This guy didn't forget to learn how to play. He's not a Greg DeVries. He's not a Stefan Catal. Trying to think of what other abominations we've had on defense. Wade Redden, obviously. Roman Hammerlick. Actually, there's a long list of Rangers defensemen that just came to the Rangers and they weren't any good. Rick, by the way, that's kind of a ongoing comments about Miller just taking the body.
No, he doesn't.
And he doesn't. Kind of makes it makes you think about the way Chris Kreider also doesn't enough. But then again, you look at what happens with Chris Kreider. He does hit somebody and then ends up being like the 5-minute major in Ottawa with 10 seconds remaining, but still.
I don't know if you're going to ever get Keandre Miller to be meaner or anything like that. It's just
Might not be in his nature.
It just some guys, Tom Poti, Willie Huber, guys that had size that just didn't use. Jay Bomeister was another one who didn't use his size nearly enough, and just. But I mean, this is a good question here from Jack.
That's what I was going to click on too.
Yeah, I've said this time and time again, and I said it in the live video for Fox. You have to change up the configuration. You have to have the off-wing one-timers on the other sides. So Panarin's got to be on the near side boards. And then you got to have, I would say, Lafreniere on the other side.
Or Kakko.
Boards, or Kakko with the left-handed shot on the right side boards with the dueling one-timers. You put Mika Zibanejad in the bumper spot. So he's in that dead space area in the middle slot area. And then you have Adam Fox at the point, and then you could use maybe someone like Ryan Strome down low. But something's got to change. Something has to change with this power play because it's just – I know that they got a couple of power play goals last night. Vancouver, their last, I think, like 4 or 5 goals, I think the stat was, that were let up were all power play goals. So, obviously, Vancouver is having some penalty kill issues. So, is this Ranger team going to be able to continue to score power play goals against better teams? I don't believe so. Could be wrong, but yeah, I just don't see it right now.
I'm gonna go also one step further with that and just say they had a situation last night where my fandom screamed out, "Get him off this power play." Was Ryan Strome got into a situation where if he was a left-handed shot, that puck's gone. Instead, he was a right-handed shot, so he had to corral it, move it around. It was in the closing minutes too, and Ryan Strome's got a goal and 2 assists this year. They don't have. Jorge Gallant is the coach now. You don't have to be loyal to this guy, and if that means the Rangers have to change their centers completely before the end of this season, after Mika Zibanejad, by all means, it looks like we're going to have to do that, or the Rangers are going to have to do that. They're not paying. I mean, so I got to remember that.
I'm starting to think that I would rather have Tomas Hertl in this team going forward than Ryan Strome. And I would rather take the risk at this point of having someone like Hertl maybe upsetting the chemistry with Panarin and Strome at this point, because Ryan Strome just does not give you enough on the other side of the puck. He's not a face-off guy. By
the way, you know what's even sadder, Phil?
Enough.
Ryan Strome is not a face-off guy. You just said it. 100% right. He's the Rangers leader with 50%. That's not good.
That's not good.
That's not good.
That's not good. And he's just not he's not a good defensive guy either. He really isn't.
And often he takes bad penalties in the offensive zone. And he just often takes bad penalties. So, and again, I made this joke the other day because a friend of mine put up a picture of candy corn. I said, candy corn is the Ryan Strome of candy. It's just good enough for right now, and if it's there, okay. But you can do.
No, candy corn is not even just good enough. It's horrible. It really is bad. It's just no.
Yeah, I mean, and some people like it, some people don't. So, I don't know of any other prospects that are disgruntled other than Barrett Hayden, as you were mentioned before. Yes, Music's Kreider usually has a.
Yeah, but Kreider's 100 hits.
200.
Yeah, Kreider's hits are like quiet. They're not. It's. Yeah, I don't trust Kreider. Even 100 is not all that much. Like, it's just not. And I'm not saying that Kreider has to be the guy that's hitting every single thing that moves, but he's got to be more assertive. There are just games where he's just floating out there, not doing anything. And if he doesn't score, he's borderline useless at that point. So he's got to,
Because when he lays a hit,
Yeah, exactly. He bumps more than anything. He really doesn't hit hard. He bumps. But
going back to Chris T's question, would the Rangers have been better off giving Filip Deneau the deal that he got? I believe on our live stream said no.
Your audio had cut out there for a little bit, but I get you were reading that, and I would say no. It didn't. I say far away from Filip Deneau because they're overpaying for 150-point season offensively there. Yeah, his defense is good and his faceoffs are good, and he can shut down other teams' top centers, but that's a lot of AAV for a guy who really isn't all that good offensively. I would rather go and pay $7 to $8 million for Tomas Hertl than give Filip Deneau $6.
Yeah.
So
the host has muted my mic. Why is my mic muting?
I don't know. I don't know what's going on here.
I might have to call this one early soon.
I think so too. Because
hold on, that might help. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, but still want it out of the Samsung. Oop, sorry, I said the wrong thing. Do everything out of the AirPods. All right, suddenly I went completely dark.
I hear you from the blackout
from the cell
box.
phone.
Is that the cell phone? The one that's labeled. Okay, so the one that's with your full name and the @ sign is the one that's definitely giving the audio. It's not the one that's up on the stream right now that's giving you the audio. I can tell you that. Because
it's not the one with my face?
No, it's not.
All right, because it worked like that for a second, and then I changed something. All right.
No, it says your microphone's muted on that one for some weird reason, but the way that your audio is working, it's not coming out at the same time as that your lips are moving. So the audio and the video are all weird on this.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I heard that, but your lips were moving at a different time from when I heard that. From when I heard one thing. Like something's not right.
Can you hear me on this?
I can hear you on that, yes.
Okay, because that's kind of what happened with that. Why is this doing this at the moment? Sorry about whoa.
Oh, this is just one gigantic.
Sorry about throwing everybody through technical difficulties at the moment.
Yeah, this is just one gigantic technical difficulty day for us here. Sorry, guys. This has just been bad.
I lost everything now.
I don't know. I think we're probably going to have to call this.
Yeah. A little bit of technical difficulties at the end, everybody. Sorry about that. That I finally figured out what one of the problems was, but it was way after everything.
So, okay, now you're back.
Yeah, well, because I figured out some of it, but of course it's like a day late and $1 short.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, Bobby, I don't think Kreider hits at all. I'm sorry. And no, I'm not nuts. None of us are not nuts for thinking that Kreider is not overly physical. And you could talk about 100 hits and everything and whatever, but they're more like bumps than they actually are like full-on hits.
And keep in mind, this is coming from Filk might have his critiques on Kreider, but I'm president of the Kreider fan club, and I think he could play a little bit more physical. I think generally a lot of Ranger fans would treat him or feel about him differently if he hit more like Ryan Callahan used to. So
I don't expect that, but I want consistent efforts from game to game. When he's at his best, when he's flying around, when he's breathing down defenders' necks and backs and really getting in on the forecheck and really disrupting things. So yeah, I'm not a fan of what I've seen from him, and it'll be soon enough. He's going to go into the cold streak, and we're going to have the discussions about him being a $6.5 million albatross. I know it'll happen. Just give it time.
I definitely think Rangers Twitter is going to do that. You know that I think he's still worth the luck. I wonder if he'll have more luck dating than there. So in the Twilight Zone. Thanks, guys.
Yeah, it's going to happen.
I thought he's been a better player since he's been going on the PK. Bobby, yeah, he's been good on the PK and getting shorthanded chances. One thing I wish Chris was able to do was have an actual deke. He doesn't have a deke move. It's either he's shooting on his forehand, or and usually blocker side, or he's going to the deke and trying to go 5-hole. That's a little bit too predictable at times. And you get like the breakaway that he had Monday night. Or Sunday night, I should say. He would have scored on that if there was more tools in his arsenal. But some Ranger fans want to complain about the guy getting 20 goals every single year, and I can't help but say, how many other players do you know that you could pencil in 20 goals right away? So there you go.
It's not that they're complaining about 20 goals. It's the fact that he just does not show up. He'll get 20 of the. He'll get like 10 of those goals.
It's what Chris T says right here.
In a 10-game span. And that's the thing. 2018-19, 20 goals in the first 38 games of the season. And the final 44 games, 8. He should have had 35 at least.
And that's the problem when you're not a puck-dependent player. You got to go get the puck. That's what you got to do. And Ariana, thanks to you. If you watch Letterkenny, I'm going to edit this a little bit, and the part that wasn't technical difficulties, and get where they're yelling at a guy because they hate the way he skates. So get that one in there.
Yeah.
Boomtown.
And you know what? If you think he's not playing bad, that's fine. I'm going to disagree with you to every length, because Chris Kreider having 7 goals in 10 games, playing the way that he has, is probably the most Rangers thing ever. It really is.
Which will be a future T-shirt of us. That's so Rangers.
Yeah. You talk about the numbers, and sure, 7 and 10 is really good. You take that any day of the week, and over, you times that by 8. That's a 56 goal pace over 80, and I understand that, but we know that's not happening, and we know he's going to go through a cold streak, and the efforts away from the puck the rest of his game have been terrible. They just haven't been good, and I would implore you to find something that tells me that it's been good, because it just I don't see it.
Now, Bobby, again, I'm president of the Chris Kreider fan club, and so you can disagree with Phil, you can disagree with me, so don't worry about that. And still support your guy. I think he's shown flashes this year. I have not been as impressed with him as I was, take for instance 2 years ago when he was definitely going to be there. But when he was going to definitely score, he was definitely going to have his first 30-goal season. And then they started splitting him up to see about chemistry with other line mates. So it's a consistency thing. But again, it's part of the thing when you're a guy that does not handle the puck. It's a sheer fact. I mean, I could go into my game. When my game was more consistent, when I was always handling the puck, or had somebody that always handled it for me, and then got me when I was in open space. And then I got different line mates.
Thank you, Granny.
Yes, thank you, Granny. So once again, just to plug it yet again, we're going to be meeting up at Timeout at Hicksville. It's a night game. It's a 7 o'clock night game. we're gonna get down the beer specials on that, or the drink specials, but also we're gonna do a live show from the place. I'm gonna be experimenting to make sure that it's going to work and go off without a hitch. And oh no, and Bob, you're right. Kreider is not the problem with the team right now. But we are going to do 2 giveaways on autographed jerseys or other memorabilia, depending on what we decide to do. And also like do a 50-50. We're still ironing out exactly what it's going to be, but it's going to be a hell of a time. That's what matters.
Yeah, and no, that contract, it's not good enough. For a $6.5 million player, you've got to be more than just a guy that gets 20 goals and 15 of those from deflecting pucks in front of the net on a power play.
By the way, Mike, welcome to the show.
Yeah, welcome to the show, Mike, because I don't think I've seen you before on here either. But you gotta be better than that. And listen, I was against that contract because I knew why they did it, but I was against it because of the fact that he just didn't fit the timeline of a rebuild. By the time that they were going to be good again, it didn't make sense to have a then probably 30, I would say 4-year-old winger, or 33 or 34-year-old winger making $6.5 million until he's 35, 36. Didn't make sense to me. And when you had Buchnevich and you had other options like Kravtsov and Kakko in the wings. So, not a fan. I don't like I don't like the player. If the player gave me more, then I would have no complaints. And again, I'm not saying he needs to score every game, but you need to give me more of an effort away from the puck. You need to show that you want it. And if you want a letter on your jersey, then I'm sorry. The efforts aren't good enough for somebody who wants a letter on his jersey.
Yeah, I would have to agree with that as well. And again, I'm the guy that wants him to be captain and wants to name him captain. I liked the contract because you want to also be the organization that says we reward people that have been with us for a while and worked hard for us. And that's what's going to happen. So I liked it on that level. Jesse, to answer this for you, I still felt the Booch deal was inevitable. I still think you have to make room for Kakko. You got to see where he fits. Here's an example, and that's the Matt Duchene trade seemed to open up a spot and flourish, or let Nate McKinnon flourish after that. And he became something great. That's what I thought the Buchnevich deal was going to do for either Kakko, Lafreniere, or Kravtsov.
Here's the difference, though. Nathan McKinnon as a rookie was a 60-point player. And what Nathan McKinnon was trying to do was trying to add on weight and size and trying to adjust to his body in doing so. And that's why it took him 3 years, at 15, 16, 17, where he went through that period of trying to add the size and the muscle while working on the speed, and that team was really bad. So that's why the results in those 3 years were not good for McKinnon. But when he finally found everything in 2018, that's when he took off. But the problem is that neither Lafreniere nor Kakko showed 2014 levels of Nathan McKinnon. If they did, then okay, like you can make that deal at that point, but you can't move Pavel Buchnevich when you have zero right wing depth. Like it's
unless you're going to play Kakko and Kravtsov. Can't move them. Yeah, that's where I agree with everybody. I said this move was going to happen. It was inevitable, and it did. But you can't have it where it's your replacement. You're not even going to use them. Like, that's what I don't like about the Kravtsov situation. We can, and you did it in your honest press conferences, as I'm going to flip us back over so you're in your natural spot. It's just, you brought it up. They didn't tell him to come to rookie camp. There were some promises that were made, and the Rangers fumbled this. Some of it now, trying to remember our guy that always kind of trying to remember who ripped on Kravtsov out of our commenters.
Rick.
Which one?
Rick Manzone.
Yeah, Rick. Okay, good.
One of the worst I've seen.
Well, yeah, he tore him a new one.
Yeah.
But it's one of those that some of it does go on the player, but the organization has a responsibility in this. There's lots of blame to go around. The number one thing I focused on out of all this was the freshest pair of eyes is Gerard Gallant's, and he wasn't saying keep this guy on the team. I was worried about that.
That worries me though, because if Vitaly Kravtsov was the answer to them, and like I said with the first call-up thing, if he was going to be the first call-up, then why is Greg McKegg playing any games over Julien Gauthier? Greg McKegg has shown you already that he is nothing more than an AHL guy that he shouldn't even be a 13th forward. He's not good. He's not a good player. He's vanilla. He's not good. He's not good at all. And I've said this before, but Vitaly Kravtsov was the closest thing in terms of style of play that this team had to Pavel Buchnevich. And now you can't even see if he could fit with Mika Zibanejad and Chris Kreider because of the fact that you alienated him for the second time. So,
yeah, that's where the problem I think really comes in. The second time around, that's why I don't think he's coming back.
No.
There's an outside chance. That's about it.
I wouldn't even say outside. It's microscopic.
And I got to say this, Ariana's kind of got a point about that, but I love what I've been seeing with the eye test out of Kakko. It's only a matter of time until he starts getting more assists. He is so confident with the puck right now, John.
Kakko has not done anything since he's come back. He's not done anything since he's come back, and I know he's coming back from an injury, but I can't even begin to tell you how little I've seen from Kakko since he's come back.
Filk, you got about an extra 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Steven, come on.
I am going to be right back.
Yep. So I think the eye test shows Kakko's been playing well, but you know what? He looks so confident with everything. Just holding the puck, finding guys. But I also kind of agree with everybody else. He's been okay. He needs to be better. But then again, you don't have to demand it right now out of a 20-year-old. The cup isn't the option. And David, by the way, yes, I'll text you about more details later. But yes, by all means. Oh, that's right. I'll send you the link right now, Steve. Sorry, I'm used to throwing everybody. I'm used to having everybody signing in under my name. So in other words, I'll have somebody that doesn't have my headshot. The Facebook. Sorry about dead air, everybody. But once again, it's great to be doing this. There you go, Steven.
All right, so I'm back. But I mean, and yeah, it just Kakko has not done anything since he's come back. I'm sorry, he just hasn't. And okay. If Marc is president of the Chris Kreider fan club, then I have to be president of the Kakko fan club because I've been so oh hello sir, oh hello.
Steven will be checking out our honest press conference that we've done with Vitaly Kravtsov.
All right, but yeah, I guess I wasn't wrong 2 days ago. Who knew? Yeah, what can we say? This is the best case scenario for both the player and the team.
It is. It is. It's.
Whoa.
Wait, what the hell just happened?
I don't know. I didn't kick you off.
I didn't do anything.
There's no censorship here. No.
No.
No, Bobby. I don't think Nils has looked all that great. I think he had maybe 1 or 2 games where I thought he looked all right, but I don't think he's been good. I still don't think that Tenorti should be playing any games over him other than to punch Tom Wilson in the face, though.
Okay, by the way, I have to address the elephant in the room. We have a celebrity on with us right now because not many other people get mentioned in Rangers intermissions or post-game shows. John and I certainly don't, but Steve Valaket was asking Stat Boy Steven for help.
I know.
Happy Stat Miner.
I have never been given homework at 3 a.m. in the morning. It was pretty cool actually, and I was able to provide the stat for him. And I guess I'm his lifeline now. I changed my Twitter bio. I'm Valley's lifeline during the postgame show.
I actually came across him in person the other day, and I was talking to him. I'm actually trying to get him to come have beers with us at Stout.
I definitely want to meet him because I've spoken to him in DMs a couple of times about meeting up when I'm in New York again, but then someone in China decided to eat a bat. So that's
I hope that we just didn't get our first YouTube strike. Thank you.
Oh, jeez.
Suddenly we have a 4-man panel on Wardy. So it's
Look, the Kravtsov thing, it's the best outcome after the situation escalated. The Rangers need Kravtsov to play. Whether that is to increase his value for a trade or whether that is to get back to game fitness and everything to join the team for a playoff push at the end of the season. Not that I expect that to happen. I think it's about 95% certain that he will not play another game for the Rangers. But even if that's the case, letting him play in the KHL is the best case scenario here. Let him build up his trade value and get more than a second-round pick for him.
All right, but from CBA wise, and
yes.
let's go with that.
All right, here we go. What CBA questions do you have for me today?
CBA question. I just want to make sure I get this right. He can't come back till the KHL season is over.
Well, it usually depends on the type of loan the team agrees. Kravtsov's under contract with the Rangers, so the Rangers decide everything. The Rangers had to agree with Dr. Chelyabinsk on the loan, and if Dr. is going to get him on loan, they're going to try and get him for the rest of the season. So the season ends March 1st, the regular season. I'm pretty sure that team will make the playoffs. They're second in their conference now, just 6 points behind Metalurg in the East. They are going to make the playoffs. Whether or not they'll be successful in the playoffs remains to be seen. But the return for Kravtsov is going to be somewhere between mid-March and the end of April, depending on how far they go in the postseason.
Yeah, basically like last year.
Yeah. And look, if Jonathan Drouin and the Tampa Bay Lightning can reconcile, if Jesse Puljujarvi and the Edmonton Oilers can reconcile, I'm not ruling it out. It's improbable, but not impossible, like Elliot Friedman said.
I'm gonna bring up the same point I brought up to Marc. If this didn't happen once before, I would entertain the possibility of reconciliation. But with the way that they've really screwed him around twice now, I would say that chance is not even 95%. I think it's 0.01 chance of that happening.
Yeah, but look, I like to keep Drury should keep his options open because my expectations of the general manager is to do what's in the best interest of the team. I don't want this to turn into some nasty altercation where Drury is doing some power grab, trying to get out on top in this personal vendetta he has against Kravtsov, according to some. He needs to do what's best for the team. I only care about the Rangers winning a Stanley Cup. I don't care if they trade away Kakko and Lundqvist and Panarin and Zibanejad if it results in us winning a cup. I want the Rangers to win the cup. I don't give a shit about individual players winning a cup.
Yeah, I'm same thing.
I'm tempted to say 99% of that is true, but a lot of Ranger fans will tell you that Tony Amonte should not have been traded in the 94 deadline.
Tony Amonte shouldn't have been traded.
No.
And you know, the deadline trades in 1994 are never criticized for the sole reason that the Rangers won a cup. But they were the most dominant team in the league going into the trade deadline. And after the trade deadline, they needed 7 games against the Devils and the Canucks to win a cup.
They beat Jersey 20-7 in the 5 games in the regular season with Amonte and Gartner. You think that they couldn't have done that in the playoffs?
Exactly.
I think they also beat them 6-0 though in the last game though.
Just because you win a cup doesn't mean every trade you made is good. Just because you don't win a cup doesn't mean every trade you made is bad. The Yandel trade in 2015 was a good trade. It just didn't result in a cup win.
Because
the Amonte trade in 94 was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
And people say, oh, but we got Matto and he scored the game winner in game 7. Well, maybe I'm not saying it's definitely the case, but what if we have Amonte? Do we even need 7 games against the Devils?
No, you don't. You don't.
Or Gartner.
The only trade I will say that they needed to make to win that cup was the wait for Tikkanen trade. And that one hurt long term too. But without Tikkanen, they don't win that cup.
That was the year before.
I understand that, but I'm just talking about all the trades that led up to that. When you include Messier, you include signing Graves, you include all the things that they did up to that. Tikkanen is obviously, aside from Messier, Tikkanen was the one deal in those last 2 or so years before leading up to that 94 deadline that they needed to make. Marchand for McTavish, you could have gotten someone other than McTavish, but McTavish wasn't a make or break. Noonan and
on the face of that though.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. This team's. It seems like this team's had face-off problems since McTavish has not been there. But
McTavish could probably still win more face-offs than anybody on the team right now.
Sad part is that's true.
By the way, last night against the Canucks was the first game the Rangers played this season where the team that won also won more face-offs.
Okay.
So,
yeah, I think opening night the Rangers were like unbelievable on face-offs and lost.
So the Rangers played until last night. The Rangers played 9 games. The games where they got 2 points, they lost the face-off battle. The games where they got 0 points, they won the face-off battle. And the one game where they ended up with a point, the face-offs were 50-50.
They still only have 2 games now in which they've scored 3 or more non-empty net goals in regulation. The Ottawa game and the Columbus game. And that's it. And those 2 teams are not good teams. That has to change in order for them to be able to win and make the playoffs.
Thanks, Chris. That's cool. Look, circling back to Kravtsov, when I look at the Jonathan Drouin situation, and I mentioned this with you, John, when we discussed it, in chats. The Tampa Bay Lightning didn't trade him right away when he went back and lived in his mom's basement in Montreal. They reconciled, they patched things up, they let him play for a whole season. He put up 50 points, and then they traded him for Mikhail Sergachev, who was instrumental to the 2 cups that Tampa Bay won the last 2 seasons. That's the scenario I want for the Rangers. I want the Rangers to raise his value and trade him for something that we can use and that can make us a competitor. I'm not interested in a 2nd-round pick. We got a 2nd-round pick for Elias Anderson. We were lucky to hit on Will Cooley. I know it's still early, but it looks good so far. I don't trust this organization to hit on a 2nd-round pick twice.
Well, as I said in the Bar Talk comments, it was sort of I feel like punching Gordy Clark in the face kind of type of comments today, because the first one was about Kravtsov, the second one was about Chytil. And do you see FIlip Chytil being an answer at all for this team's future?
Chytil, by the way, was a huge reach on draft day. There was an outlet there was one ranking that had him at 65.
Yeah.
and he was drafted 21st overall.
Yeah, he was a second-round pick.
Yeah, early on, he looked like a good pick. His early seasons in North America were really promising, but I've never seen the upside with Filip. I think he's Artem Anisimov without the defense. And Artem Anisimov in his Ranger days scored some highlight reel goals like Chytil has.
Mm-hmm.
The problem is they're few and far in between.
He reminds me more of Marcel Hossa than Artem Anisimov. I think Marcel Hossa is it's like a tweener, a guy who's really not he's not built for bottom six play, but he's not good enough to be a true legitimate top six forward. So he's like that tweener that just can't really find a role. But in today's game, you could get away with that. Back in Marcel Hossa's day, you had to be either one or the other. And that's why Marcel Hossa didn't last.
Yeah.
But
if you look at the players they drafted, they've had success, just not with the players they developed themselves.
No.
Yeah. By the way, I said that before too, Steven. Does it ever alarm you that the Rangers aren't exactly trading away their prospects and they're flourishing elsewhere? Because to me, that means Italian evaluators are not picking good people.
Not doing good.
No, and that's a valid point, but I think the only example there is JT Miller. But JT Miller had serious character issues when he was in New York. He admitted this in an interview a year ago. He said in an interview that it didn't click with him until the second trade. He was traded twice in 16 months, and only when he was traded to Vancouver, that was the wake-up call where he was like, I need to take this serious.
Yeah,
JT Miller was drinking the night before an afternoon game with fans at a bar on the road. And then he had a shit game and fans were defending him because it were the fans that were having a beer with him. So they relate to him and they get along, this and that, blah, blah, blah. But there's a deeper issue in this organization. And if you want to understand why, you have to watch the 2012 HBO Road to the Winter Classic TV show that was made that year.
I still have all the episodes.
When the Rangers played the Flyers, and the one in 2018 when we played the Sabres. In 2012, they had Danny Briere on the team in Philly, and he took Braden Shen and Sean Couturier. He took them into his house, took care of them, cooked for them.
Hartnell. It was Hartnell.
Was it Hartnell? Okay.
It was Hartnell.
It was one of the veteran players that was taking care of the young.
I thought it was Briere, actually.
No, I know it was Scotty Hartnell because he was talking about it.
I'm going to watch those episodes when I'm flying to New York, and we'll discuss this one.
I know Briere had somebody in his house. I remember watching Briere having someone in his house
because they were playing video games with his kids.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah. Anyway,
I'm pretty sure it was Briere.
Yeah.
But the similar situation about that was...
Hold on. So I'm trying to finish my point here. A couple of years later, the Toronto Maple Leafs did a similar thing, and Patrick Marleau had Mitch Marner and, was it Austin Matthews, temporarily living with him and his wife?
Yes.
Yeah. And then in 2018, the Road to the Winter Classic, which was done by NBC, which was garbage, because first of all, episodes were 20 minutes instead of 45, and nobody beats HBO in terms of quality. The 2018 Road to the Winter Classic show, they show Kevin Hayes, Brady Shea, and Jimmy Vesey living together in some shitty apartment ordering pizzas. That is night and day, and that's why the Rangers suck at developing players, because they don't.
And the Rangers were a veteran team at that point.
Yeah, the Rangers do not have the right mentality, do not have the right culture in the organization for prospects to develop properly.
No, you're right.
Mika Zibanejad tried with Elias Anderson by taking him in, but that's the only example. That's the only example I know.
No, I agree with that. And you gotta have that. You gotta have something. You gotta have.
Just to elaborate on this quickly, we let Brendan Smith go in the summer, who signs for $800,000 in Carolina. Kaapo Kakko, in an interview in Finland, said that Brendan Smith is the one who helped him adjust to life in New York. Brendan Smith was the one who took him in, who explained everything to him, who took him by the hand, so to speak. He was filling that Danny Briere or Scott Hartnell, whoever it is, that veteran role. And I honestly still don't understand why you let Brendan Smith go and then replace him with Tenorti.
Apparently, Kravtsov is quoted saying, I am continuing my goal of playing hockey for the New York Rangers.
Yeah, his agent wrote that, not Kravtsov.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Look, it's the thing a player in that situation should say.
Yeah.
You know, when you run into your ex-wife and she walks up to you and she asks you how you're doing, you always say, I'm doing well.
Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Yeah, and look, Brendan Smith for $800,000 or Jared Tenorti for $3 million, easy choice for me, honestly.
Yeah, and Patrick Nemeth, and I said this, I've said this many times. You could have had John Merrill for $850K, and he's an upgrade over Brendan Smith.
Patrick Nemeth is not $2 million a year better than Brendan Smith.
Patrick Nemeth is not even $1 million a year better than Brendan Smith. Brendan Smith last year played better than Patrick Nemeth has played so far this year.
I know it's early, so maybe they have to get used to the new system and this and that, blah blah blah, for all the excuses.
Yeah, but Patrick Nemeth has been bad for a while. Red Wings fans told us he was bad. Colorado Avalanche fans told us he was bad.
Yeah,
I mean, Dallas didn't want him.
What annoys me about the Nemeth signing is that when he was signed, there were reports. I think it was Larry Brooks who was touching on Nemeth being signed to help guide Nils Lundqvist because they're both Swedish.
Yeah.
That's such a bullshit reason. If you put me in a room with a random Dutch guy, doesn't mean we get along just because we're from the same country and speak the same language.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, it's bad enough that our girlfriends or wives in the past had to do that with men anyway. They're like, here, you two are both men.
Yeah.
Talk.
Yeah. You both watch sports? Yeah, I watch hockey and he watches rugby. It's not really the same. But just because they're both Swedish doesn't mean they get along. Imagine here in Dublin, if I have two guys working on my team, and one is from Oregon, and I want to hire another one, and I go, you know what? I'm going to hire a second technician from Oregon because he and the other guy will get along. Because they're both from Oregon. They're both American.
Joe Micheletti does that all the time on the telecasts. He sits there and says that these guys are like friends because they're from the same country. Meanwhile, a lot of the times that he's saying that, these guys grew up on completely different sides of the countries that he's talking about. And I'm just like, are you kidding me?
You know who Kravtsov's best friend on the team was? Keandre Miller.
Yeah, it just.
Keandre Miller got along with a lot of guys.
Doesn't speak a word of Russian, but they got along.
I'll give Bobby this. Nemeth does block shots well on the penalty kill. I'll give him that. But he's not good in front of his own net. He doesn't clear men out well. He often misses assignments, which is just ridiculous because he doesn't really have tough assignments to miss.
He makes more snow angels than Dan Girardi.
Yeah, it's bad.
By the way, Steven, I'm going through these episodes really quick, and I forgot Sean Avery was in one of them.
Really? Nice. No, look, our defense has issues, and I think it's time to mix it up because the Miller-Trouba pairing has been dreadful.
Yeah.
Miller's been on the ice for the last 4 goals against, and no one's saying anything.
His turnover last night is the reason why Miller scored.
Why in overtime is he trying to stick handle through 2 opponents 3-on-3?
Yeah.
Here's a better question. Why is Trouba out there in overtime and why is not Lindgren when Lindgren can actually skate and move the puck well?
Yeah.
That's all Steven's response just up perfectly.
Listen, it was probably the best assist in a Rangers game this season. The one by Nemeth to Who did he assist on? Was it Mangiapane?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the Mangiapane goal was off the backboards, though. So I'm
I
not
think
sure.
Mangiapane scored 2 against us, but
Yeah.
anyway, this team has issues, and one of the issues they have is that they need a playmaker on the right side, and we traded one away and we chased one away.
Yeah. It sounds funny because I heard that before. Yeah.
Oh, really?
That would be what that guy said.
Yeah.
Word for word.
I literally have said, I've literally tweeted this out on Twitter. I said,
okay.
Well, no, I said it in here too, but I tweeted it out on Twitter earlier on today in response to like 3 or 4 different people. I was like, we hinged an entire offseason on the development of 3 kids. We alienated one of them, and the other 2 clearly aren't ready, and they had no backup plan.
Look, I'll try to paint a picture of what the situation must have looked like for Kravtsov, just to, get some perspective. He gets drafted in 2018 by Jeff Gordon. Then he gets offered an entry-level contract in 2019 by Jeff Gordon. Flies to North America with his mom and his brother. Spends the whole summer in North America. Trains, joins the team for preseason, scores a couple of goals. Quinn says to him that he played well, so his assumption is, I'm making the team. And then he gets sent down. He activates his European assignment clause, and then the thing happens with Drury, the first incident with Drury, where he calls him a quitter in front of his teammates in Hartford for activating his European assignment clause.
Stupid.
Ridiculous. Anyway, he goes to Russia, doesn't go well. He gets sent down to the VHL during the international break and comes back to Hartford, finishes the season in Hartford. Fine. The next season, there's a pandemic, so the season's postponed, and he's getting loaned out to Tractor again, this time because the Rangers want to. Plays in Russia, works on everything the Rangers asked him to work on. He improved defensively. He was better without the puck. Comes back to New York at the end of the season, joins the team, plays 20 games, puts up a couple of goals, a couple of assists. Doesn't pout when he's on the 4th line playing with Howden, which is, there's reason to complain there. And then at the end of the season, the general manager who drafted you is fired and replaced by the guy who embarrassed you in front of your teammates 2 years prior. Then in the offseason, one of your best friends on the team in Buchnevich is traded away, and there are reports in the media that the trade makes sense because you and Kakko are going to get more minutes. You get to New York, and Drury says to you, you can skip prospect development camp and train with the big guys. Then you play in preseason, you miss a couple of games because of injury, you come back and you score a goal against the Islanders. Is it really that far-fetched for Kravtsov to expect he makes the team at that point?
No, it's not. And here's the biggest problem I have.
And then he gets sent down by Chris Drury, the guy that
berated him,
badmouthed him 2 years prior.
But the biggest problem is that, like, I get that you want to add grit to this team, and you and I have both said the same exact thing. It cannot come at expense of skill. And at this point, this offseason, that's what they did. They added grit, and they added it at the expense of skill. So now you traded away your best right winger for a bottom 6 winger and a 2nd-round pick. And now you desperately need offense. So what do? They go with Dryden Hunt, and they send him down to keep Libor Hayek, who is borderline ECHL level defenseman over the prior. They prioritize those 2 over a top 10 pick, and who's your number 2 prospect? Piss poor asset management by the organization. Any other organization, if this is Toronto, if this is Montreal, if this is Pittsburgh or Boston, every single fan is blasting them. But no, we've got a bunch of xenophobes who want to blast the player instead of sitting there and actually placing blame on the team.
John, Marc, have you heard of this happening to another team with 2 top 10 picks?
No.
Not with 2 of them. And And again, I know you said the xenophobe thing, but it was
No,
and a little bit of the virus, the Tom Wilson virus.
Listen, go to the Rangers Wikipedia page and change the owner to Tom Wilson.
Yeah.
I think somebody did that once.
No, somebody did that with the Capitals and Henrik Lundqvist. They changed the owner to Henrik Lundqvist. It was after the 2013 series, I think.
By the way, I just got a message. I'm only going to say the words "a trusted source," somebody that we know, is confirming that the Eichel for Tkachuk trade has legs.
Okay, yeah. So it was Tkachuk, a first-round pick, a former first-round pick, and 2 prospects.
Yeah,
that's a good deal for Buffalo, and Adam should run with it.
I can't believe he's getting that much.
Take it and run.
Yeah,
I cannot believe after the shit show we've sat through all summer that Kevin Adams is going to come out on top.
Yeah, especially that again. I still think it's a mistake.
Yeah, why?
I still think he did.
Teams and they're playing well.
Yeah, he did.
Listen. The NHL is the worst league, but it's also the league with the dumbest general managers.
Ariana might be right about this. They don't want to pay Tkachuk $9 million. You know what? I can't say I blame them because that's a lot for him. But I mean,
so trade him for someone else.
Yeah.
Yeah. Phil, by the way, your text just to say your text to me is yes. I'm not saying his name on the air just in case right now.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it's a trusted one. Steven, I'll let you know who it was in a minute. But I gotta agree with you. If Kevin Adams ends up coming out on top on this, I'm still shaking my head because I feel like he gave away Sam Reinhart. He got a king's ransom for Ristolainen, and then to get this, I still don't like trading a winger for a center. Ask Columbus about that and how that worked out.
This is the same league where the Edmonton Oilers give up a first-round pick for Griffin Reinhart and then lose him for free 2 years later in the expansion draft.
Peter Chiarelli screwed 2 organizations in that draft.
Yeah. Well, Chiarelli, God, my God.
We're gonna have to come up with the Peter Chiarelli Award. In all honesty, because I don't think anybody could ever do better.
If people are wondering who the second team was that Chiarelli fucked over in that draft, it's the Boston Bruins because the scouting department he put together passed on Barzal, Chabot, and Connor to pick DeBrusk,
Senyshyn,
and Senyshyn.
Yeah, that was bad.
You could have let a 2-year-old pick 3 random players and they would have done better with those picks.
I mean, Glenn Sather couldn't get that wrong, especially if it was the 2003 NHL draft. So, yeah. Oh, by the way, before I forget, even though it's, as far as this is concerned, it's belated, but again, happy birthday to Mr. Statboy Steven. It was last week.
Thank you very much. 37. Yeah. Fuck, I'm getting up there. I'm reaching NHL retirement age.
Fortunately for me, as long as Zdeno Chara is in the league, I'm below it.
That's also true. But I would have been, my draft would have been 2003.
Yeah. Oh God.
My draft would be 04.
All right. Would you have gone before Brian Elliott and after Dustin Byfuglien?
Listen, I don't like to brag, but as a player, I'm a combination of Wayne Gretzky and Tanner Glass. I have the physicality of Wayne Gretzky and the skill of Tanner Glass.
Okay. I think I would be Brent Gretzky at best.
Listen, talk shit all you want about Brent Gretzky. He's part of the most successful brother combination in the NHL.
And indeed he is.
Yeah, brothers in the NHL, Brent and Wayne Gretzky.
Hell, there were 6 Sutters and they couldn't even compete.
6 Sutters couldn't beat Wayne Gretzky and brother Brent, who had 4 points.
I was about to say Brent surely racked up the points there.
4, yeah.
Yeah, he was up there with Brett Lindros.
Yeah. So yesterday, Tyler and I recorded episode 37.
Oh, it did it again. Sorry, Steven. I don't understand why it's doing that.
If you want me gone, just say so.
Well, we are going to go another 10. We'll go 10 more minutes with you.
So Tyler and I were recording episode 37, and I started to read out some of the players who wore the jersey number of the episode number. So yesterday, number 37, one of the players that came up is Derek Armstrong.
Derek Armstrong.
For the Rangers, 37? Yes, he was 23.
Chris Drury is 23 on the Rangers.
No. Yeah, I'm just saying Chris Drury was 37 in Colorado.
Yeah, no, but I'm talking about Ranger jersey numbers.
Okay.
Well, Derek Armstrong came up. Derek Armstrong, you had 4 different jersey numbers in official games.
Yeah, I was listening to this.
And he played 7 games over the span of 3 seasons.
How
does that even happen?
How that works?
I don't know.
He had
that's an oddity.
He had number 17, number 18, number 21, and number 37. And he only played 7 games.
That was a guy that got sent down. Like that was that very late 90s, early 2000s Wolfpack where guys like him, Jernander, and Toms just getting called down and sent up. But for some reason, Toms, I think, always wore 32. I think it was
29 and 32.
That's
yeah,
Jeff
I remember
right?
Toms wearing 32.
Jeff Toms. I have the jersey he wore when he scored that hat trick against Boston.
That was
That's
so
nice.
weird.
Oh,
that's right. I saw Catherine's post on that.
Yeah. It's actually the way we met because I like stats, and I was talking about Matt Pumple at the time, and Matt Pumple had the most fluky hat trick in the history of the league against the Coyotes.
Yep.
Oh,
and I think they were after an empty netter.
Yeah, it was the flukiest hat trick in the history of the league. And I was telling Catherine about it, and I'm like, did you know that he was the first player in 15 years claimed off waivers for the Rangers to score a hat trick? And she goes, oh, was the other guy Jeff Toms? And that's when I fell in love. that was the moment.
It's crazy, man.
So I was able to, through a collector, get a jersey from that season. And for our anniversary, I was able to reach out to Jeff Toms to write us a personalized message to frame with the jersey.
Oh, that's awesome.
Great. That's great.
That's awesome.
And when I reached out to Jeff Toms, he was like, "Oh my God, I didn't realize Ranger fans remembered me."
That's awesome. I could totally see him saying that too.
Yeah,
I don't have to think too hard about a Ranger that wore 43 because one of them was on the show, and one of them was my favorite Ranger of all time.
Libor Hayek.
Oh, yeah, I thought he was 42 actually. No, but obviously Marty Biron and Ryan Callahan debuted with 43.
How many?
Stat baby.
Maybe. I've had people ask me, "Isn't it time to change your name to Statman?" But I don't grow up; I just grow old. No, but Martin Biron, I mean, didn't he concede like 15 goals in his final 2 games or something?
Well, his very last game was the hurdle game.
No. He played against the Ducks. That was his last game. The hurdle game was not his last game.
Wow, really? I'm shocked.
No, I thought that was his last game because I don't remember him playing another game that season after that.
All right.
Hold on.
Oh, by the way, it is confirmed who we are going to be having next week. A guy who was making news or was mentioned in the news this week, not making it, but Ray Ferraro is going to be joining us next week.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, it's awesome.
Okay, sorry, I was wrong about the Anaheim Ducks. October 8th against the San Jose Sharks, he conceded 5 goals. October 12th against the St. Louis Blues, he conceded 4.
Yeah.
Okay, so the St. Louis was the next. Okay, so I was wrong that so it's second last game. But I was about to say, I remember saying, and the joke that was going around all over the place with like Rangers fans online and everything was was that Hurdle had retired Biron with the through the legs goal.
Because He scored 4 goals, including
he scored 4 goals, and then the fourth one was.
And Joe Thornton got in trouble by saying if I scored 4 goals and the last goal was between my legs, I'd whip my dick out on the ice.
I don't remember that.
But listen, Joe Thornton got into trouble surrounding Ranger games earlier as well with Tortorella when he called the Rangers soft, and Tortorella called him out because he hadn't won a thing in this league.
That was the Halloween when I posted that thing when you posted the Halloween games, and I was like, that was the Halloween game that was on the game. The list of games that you posted was definitely the game that Thornton called the Rangers soft, and Tortorella told him to shut the F up because he never won anything in his career, and then the Rangers went out and trounced them. He
literally said about Joe Thornton, he might go down as one of the best players in this league to never win anything. So what he should do is shut up.
That was one of Tortorella's best lines ever.
Yes.
John Tortorella had to have some of the most entertaining post-game or comments ever. And again, one of my favorites still has got to be, I don't want to hear anything out of Pittsburgh with their whining superstars.
Yes. Yes. I was going to bring that up. It was a game where I think Stepan was hit with a knee on knee.
Yeah. It was Brooks Orpik and a knee on knee hit on Stepan.
Yeah. And afterwards, Tortorella says, what was it? He called them gutless, and he said it's one of the most arrogant organizations in the league. And he said, imagine if it happens to their 2 fucking stars.
They're 2 whining superstars.
Whining superstars.
Yeah.
And you know what? He called them an arrogant organization. But the funny part is that Mario Lemieux the season before took a verbal dump on the Islanders and said he'll take his ball and go home, and that they were a bunch of thugs and a low-class organization.
That was fight night.
I remember
the fight night game, and he got nothing for that. But Tortorella got fined out the wazoo for what he said.
This is the league where you get fined more for cap circumvention than for covering up sexual abuse.
Yeah, they need to fix that shit.
But
the Devils were fined $3 million for the Kovalchuk incident with the cap circumvention.
Yeah.
The Blackhawks got a $2 million fine for covering up sexual abuse for 11 years.
Was it the Coyotes fined $3 million in a first-round pick?
For the Chayka incident, and they were docked first-round and second-round picks.
Yeah, because he needed another combine.
Well, apparently breaking combine regulations is a worse offense than covering up sexual abuse. Again, this league makes no sense. This is the same league where you can chase your wife with a chainsaw and you're still honored for decades. You can kill a woman while drunk driving and you're welcome back into the league. But if you're a 4th-line player and you criticize a teammate's wife in a private jet, your contract's terminated.
Right.
If you are the first-line center for the team in Toronto, you can just assault a woman in the middle of the night and then get Lady Bing votes. That's the league we're talking about.
And this is another one that the Rangers getting fined for a mean tweet when they called out George Parros. Somehow that's something where you could get fined $250,000 for, but the Chicago Blackhawks get a $2 million fine for covering up a crime?
Proportionally, the $2 million fine is less than a $5,000 fine for a player making league minimum.
Here's what I want organizations, all of them, to understand and to say out loud. We were scared. We had no idea what to do. And we never had something like this happen. And we thought about doing, and we should have called the police and gone through the right channels. This all could have been settled by just going, hey, we need you to come in here and do an investigation.
All they had to say was, sorry, we were wrong. We made a mistake. We didn't act the right way. We apologize. That's it. That's all they had to do. They
needed to say that in 2010.
I mentioned this to you, John.
Yeah.
If you fine someone, you're not punishing them. You're just putting a price on something. If you get a speeding ticket of $170 for going 30 miles over the limit, that's not a punishment. It just means that if you want to go 30 miles over the limit,
it's the points on the license that really does the thing.
Yeah.
With this case, what I said they should have done is they should have removed their first and second round draft picks for the next 5 years. They should have fined the organization $50 million.
And a cap penalty.
And a cap penalty every year for the next 5 years.
Okay. Here's
a cap
first,
penalty. Hold on. A cap penalty for every year they covered this up. For the next 11 years, a $10 million cap penalty.
I'd totally be okay with that then too.
Yeah, I'd be okay with that too.
Yeah.
Are you okay, Mark? Are you drinking or what?
No. My camera moved. I had some technical difficulties earlier.
Yeah, we were in
fixing it.
Bad shape technical wise earlier on. I don't know what was going on.
Still in better shape than the Blackhawks.
It's still better shape than the Blackhawks.
Yeah.
You know what? Because the hard part about this is, it's sort of like, all right, it's a twofold problem. Stan Bowman was there the entire time. He's the president of operations. He should be held accountable to the fullest extent. If I then go take the job as Chicago Blackhawks GM, I'm now dealing with his fine for the next 5 years. And let's say that fine or that suspension of the draft picks doesn't get leveled on me until after I took the job. Like, then I'm basically wasting my career in Chicago, or making it, because I'd have to be a genius with the last 4 rounds of the draft or 5 rounds of the draft.
Yeah.
It's something that I said this before. But I said this before, and it's something that's hard to figure out exactly how to punish a team. But now, if they know this ahead of time,
listen, Mark, I keep hearing the same excuse about this was the previous regime. Kyle Beach filed a lawsuit last year, December 2020. A month later, the Blackhawks reached out to him and his lawyer and said, "We have no intention of settling. We did our own investigation. Investigation's closed." That's not the previous regime that did that. That's the current regime.
Yeah. That's the current regime that's right there.
Yes.
Now, Bowman's gone.
The whole previous regime excuse doesn't hold that much water if you are. And here's the thing: even if you don't agree to a settlement in January, why did this not come out until October?
Yeah.
Previous regime, my ass.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, I didn't know about that until you just said that.
That's just gross incompetence all around by that entire organization, whether it's past regime, current regime. You have the players sort of defending the organization. I mean, Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews should take lessons on how to shut the hell up, because everything that they've said lately has just painted them in an even worse picture. I've lost respect for the both of them. I don't have any more respect for those two as players. I could give a hell less if Patrick Kane plays for USA or not now. If they wanted to take him off of Team USA, I'd be totally fine with that after what he said. The joke. I don't want somebody representing me like that.
Look, Jonathan Toews was defending Stan Bowman, saying, "Oh, that's not my experience with Stan Bowman, and Stan Bowman's always been good to me."
Who cares what your experience is with him?
Jackie Redmond. Well,
$10 million of dead cap and no first round picks. That's called the Glen organization.
Jackie Redmond in a monologue said, well, what it basically comes down to is this quote that I fully agree with. You don't get to, what was the word she used? You don't get to diminish someone else's experience just because yours was different.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what it comes down to. And everyone's saying, "Oh, Jonathan Toews was young. He was only 21 years." I don't care. He's 21 years old. He's a grown up. He's old enough to drink. He's old enough to vote. He's old enough to go to the army. He's old enough to drive a car. He's old enough to know right from wrong. No one in that organization called the police. No one.
And that's what should have happened first.
Yeah.
It's not in your pay grade. Joel Quenneville, after his infamous comment, "Oh, we don't need this right now," should have been call the police. What should have been?
Mark, even if I take Quenneville's side here and say, okay, you wanted to try and win a cup. It's been decades for the Blackhawks. You don't want any distractions. They won a cup within a month.
Yep.
And they didn't say anything after that.
No.
Yep.
If they would have come out in July of 2010 and said, listen, we had an incident that happened within our organization. We're dealing with it right now. We're going to involve the police. We're going to inform the NHL and the NHLPA, and we're dealing with it. That I could have respected. But they kept it quiet for 11 years, Mark. That's no longer about winning. And
I'm 100% with you on that.
Listen, this is how far an NHL team is willing to go to protect their video coach. Can you imagine how far they're going to protect their head coach if he does something?
Yeah.
They did this for a video coach.
And Marc's brought that up, the whole status thing. And I said, that the status, or the stature, rather, I should say, of the coach or whoever, it shouldn't matter at all. But you're right. If they were willing to do that for a video replay coach, what would they have done for a head coach or even a player?
General manager, whatever. Yeah.
Imagine if this was Kane.
And it all comes down to the fine again. Because by fining them $2 million, you're giving teams incentive to do this in the future. You have two options here.
Slapping them on the wrist.
You have two options here. You can damage your reputation, or you can sweep it under the rug for a decade, win a couple of cups, increase the value of your brand, and then you get slapped on the wrist with a $2 million fine, which is a fraction of what you've made over the last decade.
And you know what? You're going to endure negative publicity for a month, maybe two, maybe jokes aside. Those 3 cups they'll never be able to take away.
The Blackhawks logo is the least of their worries now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then you know what? And again, it was a horrible act and just a disgusting situation. But again, they call the police. There's nothing in your job description that says you should have done that.
And by not calling the police, Aldrich was not registered as a sex offender. And by not being registered as a sex offender, he was able to get a job at a high school where he then abused a 16-year-old.
Where he assaulted him. Yeah.
Exactly. And there was also an incident with a 22-year-old intern, right?
Yep.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So it wasn't just a one-off incident where, he made a mistake. No, this happened more than once. And the Blackhawks knew, and they let him walk. They let him walk, and then he did it to a 16-year-old. And then when Rick Westhead, who deserves a follow from everyone who's listening if they're on Twitter.
Yeah.
When Rick Westhead was asking Gary Bettman if they're going to reach out to the 16-year-old and his family to offer support, Gary Bettman's answer was, I need to have more information first.
What more information do you need to have? There's an entire report that's been given to you. The facts are laid out. And that's like Gary Bettman needs to go. The guy
went to prison. And listen, over the years, I have often not defended Gary Bettman, but sort of stood up for him because I always thought it was ridiculous that he was booed at every draft and every moment he walks into an arena. But after what happened the last week or so, boo the motherfucker every time he sets foot in an arena.
Did you hear NHL Network when they aired the Kevin Chevel Day Off interview? Yeah. And Rick Westhead, again, great job with the questions.
Why is it that Gary Bettman was the one conducting the investigation on Kevin Cheveldayoff and not an independent authority coming in here and doing it? Because apparently the NHL they don't know their ass from their hole in the ground at this point.
They do not know right from wrong. But there was another incident issue with the press availability or media availability. About the Akim Aliu situation, the racist remarks he went through.
They supposedly contacted his lawyer, and his lawyer came out and said that there's been no contact for over a year.
Bill Daly said that the investigation has been concluded and that all parties have been informed. And Akim Aliu's agent quote tweeted that and said, "This is news to me. Neither me nor Akim have heard anything from the Blackhawks organization. And the people that we have put forward as witnesses have not been contacted by anyone."
Yeah, that was horrible.
Unreal.
Horrible. And again, that happened in this Blackhawks situation.
Launch them all into the sun. please.
It's not, and that's what annoys me so much. It's not just one slip up. You know, they mess it up again and again and again and again. And John Tortorella has been very vocal, and Jackie Redmond and Tara Sloan. But everyone else is very hush about this. It's like people don't want to speak the truth. Rick Westhead, who is responsible for this, you know, coming out with interviewing Kyle Beach and everything, he wanted to ask Gary Bettman a question, and they ignored him twice. And then Darren Drager, who also works for TSN, was allowed to ask a question. And Darren Drager, kudos to him, said, "I'm going to let Rick ask his question first." They were. Is the word blackballing? Is that the right word?
Yeah, they were trying.
Blackballing would be the right term. I think I'm not sure if it's blackballing or just avoiding knowing you're going to get asked tough questions.
Yeah,
and if you can't answer them, you're going to try to avoid them.
Yeah. This is not the White House where you get softball questions thrown at you. No, this was a serious situation.
And
the NHL fucked up. And you know, the more I think about it, the more I'm coming to the realization that it's more likely than not that this is not an isolated incident with the Blackhawks either.
No,
I wouldn't be surprised that if in the upcoming 10 years we'll hear something else. Once players retire, more stories are going to come out. And my God, I hope it's not the Rangers that are involved in this. Because at this stage, I don't even know who to believe anymore.
Well, supposedly there's another organization where somebody's being investigated right now.
And what worries me the most about the Rangers is the last couple of years. You know, and I don't want to beat a dead horse, but Sean Day asking for his entry-level contract to be terminated. Lias and Kravtsov, who both for various reasons. Players that are unhappy. Players asking for trades. I'm not saying it's like a sexual abuse thing. I'm just saying there's something not right in this organization's culture. And I'm scared to death that something's going to come out in a couple of years that's going to make me stop supporting the Rangers. Because I'm telling you, if I was a Blackhawks fan, this would be it. This would be the moment where I burn everything I have and I'll support another team. I cannot support a team that covers up sexual abuse. I'm sorry. If this were the Rangers, I wouldn't be a Rangers fan anymore.
It would definitely hit me hard. I've said before,
I don't want to be associated with an organization that does that, because at this point the NHL is reaching Catholic Church levels of embarrassment.
Yeah.
This is where it's just best to everybody answer all the questions now.
Yeah.
The time is, you already had 11 years of a cover up. Now you got to answer them all. This is what happens. This is what happens when you cover anything up. You're going to eventually have to open up and talk about it. So first off, and I don't care if it's uncomfortable for Gary Bettman. I don't care if it's uncomfortable for all the people that were involved. Joel Quinn.
He's sure getting paid enough to deal with this shit.
Yeah.
And Steven, and here's another example to give to you. I kept on saying to everybody for the last week, this might be my last week as a Miami Dolphin fan. I rooted for the Dolphins since 1993.
What happened with the Dolphins?
Oh, no, I'll get to that. This week was the NFL trade week, the trade deadline. And they were deeply in talks to get Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson has 16 counts of sexual assault, or 16 accusations. Sorry, 26. You got to be kidding me. And they're still talking about getting this guy?
Listen,
he hasn't been suspended by the NFL either.
Listen, when it comes to professional sports, the better you are, the more you get away with. I know it's not what you want to hear, but that's just the way it is.
It is, but on the other hand, that's why I said before, Brad Aldrich, an instant replay coach.
If a fourth liner did what Austin Matthews did, he's playing in the KHL right now.
Yeah.
Simple.
Yeah.
If Adam Fox pulled the same shit D'Angelo pulled, he's not bought out. They'll deal with it because he's too good. He's too good to give up on.
Sports are a business, and that's the problem. It's all about the bottom line at the end of the day, and
that's
why
why
stuff happens.
And that's why the Blackhawks kept it quiet, because they won 3 cups in 6 years. Their brand value skyrocketed. They are the last real dynasty this league has had, so they're being protected by the league. And I've said this before, and maybe I should start a hashtag, but it's time for an original 5. Hashtag original 5. Just retire the franchise or move them somewhere else and start a new franchise in Chicago. I don't want to take hockey away from people in Chicago, but just retire the franchise, start a new one, a new license, new logo, new name, everything.
Yeah, I don't think that'll happen. I really don't think that's going to happen, but I mean, wouldn't be opposed to it.
Because if that was even on the table, it means that the NHL actually cares, and they don't. Because not one person has actually apologized to Kyle Beach. The only words I've seen is, "I'm so sorry it happened." That's not an apology. We feel terrible about this. That's like apologizing to your wife. Like, I feel terrible this happened. It's not an apology.
If just imagine this, and let's paint this picture. Let's go to the alternate universe where 2010 happens, and the Blackhawks immediately call the police.
Mm-hmm.
Joel Quenneville is still coaching.
Mm-hmm.
Stan Bowman's still there. There's no tarnish on the league. Kyle Beach might have even had a career. I mean, that's what should have happened, because they won that cup anyway.
Trading Kyle Beach for, was it Brandon Mashinter?
Yeah.
That trade never made sense to me at the time, because Kyle Beach was a talented player. He was a high pick. I think he was top 10 even. Was he top 10 pick?
I think he was number 7, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, he was a top 10 pick. I think 2008.
Yeah. And I never understood how his career just tanked like that. But now we know. But yeah, if the Blackhawks come forward, even if they do it after winning their cup, like I said earlier, let's look at the scenario where they win the cup, and after the cup, they inform everyone and they said, "Listen, we put a pin in this for a couple of weeks while we were in the playoffs. We're going to deal with it now. We've informed the police. We're informing the NHLPA. This person who worked in our organization is now gone. Perfect. That's still good enough. It's
good enough. The ideal one would have been the other way around. Even if they would have, let's say, for instance, because it's happened in the conference finals of 2010, they report to police. It becomes a distraction. They end up losing. They still prioritized that sexual assault was more important than hockey games, and that's what it comes down to.
You know, it would have done their image a lot of good by doing that. But look, this league doesn't care about its players. We saw it with the whole concussion history, with people, with former players dying of drug overdose because of painkillers.
Current ones, Rick Rippon.
Yeah, Rick Rippon, Derek Bugard is an example. Bob Probert, of course, died very young. Jimmy Hayes, weeks ago. Nothing. The league doesn't give a shit. The league does not care. The only thing the league cares about is money, which is ironic because they fucking suck at selling their product. They're terrible. They're so terrible.
Yeah, they are terrible.
They're the best.
They're banking on hockey fans being the most loyal fans there are.
Yeah, they're the best league in the world, and they don't know how to sell their own product. It's absolutely ridiculous. So
by the way, Steven, since I got you on and we're on the air broadcasting live, why not? You're here in New York up until
from the 18th of November until the 4th of December.
Okay. So yeah, we definitely gotta definitely get a beer, if not also see a game. because I know that there's a bunch of games that they got there.
Are you still interested in those tickets for the Buffalo game, by the way? Because you never got back.
I'm trying my best. It's so hard to get those days off. Sunday I work, and I've been trying to tell. Take for instance the Buffalo game coming. That's the Sunday before Thanksgiving Eve, and I'm working Thanksgiving Eve, and I'm trying to get off that day. And I already got the guy that's covering for me saying, well, if I'm going to work that day and then I'm going to work Thanksgiving Eve and then I'm like, oh, I'm sorry, man. I understand you'd have to work extra days.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I wanted to go to the Islanders game at the UBS Arena, but tickets are over $200. So I'll go another season. It's fine. So I'm going to
there is December 1st versus the Flyers.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so I'll start looking up on that. You need two. Yeah. If when I do the research, is it two for you and the wife?
Yes.
Okay.
And then you and the boyfriend, or who? I don't know. I don't know who your partner is.
It would be that boyfriend right over there.
He looks so cute in the tractor jersey.
I don't know what kind of shenanigans are going on here, but I'm not about it.
No, we're just talking about going to a game.
Yeah,
I know.
No, but I'm there until the 4th, so we'll figure something out to hang out.
Nice, we'll figure that out. And it is Mr. Filkowski's birthday, the 30th. So it would be the 1st, so it would be the day after. So that's all good.
We can have a belated birthday party at Madison Square Garden for this guy.
I'll take that in a win.
Okay.
That's definitely a good thing to get.
The birthday party or the win. You never get both from the Rangers.
Yeah, that is true.
You know what? I got it once.
I'll have to make it a birthday party then if they decide that they want to not show up to the game. I'll just
when we play the Flyers, do we send Gallant home for the day, give him a day off, and have Knobloch drive down from Hartford?
Yeah,
just to get another 9-0 game.
Yeah, yes,
no, I think Gallant still has the room, so it's okay.
Yeah,
that is true.
By the way, one tidbit, Steven, the Rangers are 1-1 on my birthday. They should have been 2-0 because they got royally screwed in 2014 by Derek King falling on Henrik Lundqvist. So
Dwight.
Oh, sorry, Dwight King. Might as well be Derek King. Screw him too. So no. It's and the other memory you might have for that of my birthday, which is June 7th, is Mike Richter's save on Pavel Bure. So that's a day. That is a day.
Wait, when's your birthday?
June 7th.
Oh, so you only get a Rangers game on your birthday once every 15 years or so.
Yeah, no, once every 20 years.
Once every 20 years.
Yeah. Well, it's let's see, I was 16 and 35. So
right.
So no, 36. 36.
It's 20 years.
Hey. Well, yeah. Well, I mean, I was dating a 21-year-old at the time, so it was also.
I'm so glad you said at the time.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to keep going though because I gotta eat and then I got a hockey game later, so I gotta get ready for that too.
Absolutely. Where are you playing, Filk?
Skate safe tonight.
Oh, nice.
What position?
Yeah. I play D, but I'm really filling in for like my best friend's team, and they need a defender, so I kind of have to like do everything really. But
are you better at clearing the zone than Keandre Miller?
I'm much better at clearing the zone than Keandre Miller is. And I also don't let the forward just get behind me, like where I'm at like the point and they're behind me over by like my goaltender, you know. I don't let that happen.
Yeah. Now, if we ever switch to zone defense, Miller's perfect for that.
Yeah, I doubt they're going to do anything like that. So, but.
You know what? By the way, I said it last week. There's 3 things you can count on. Death, taxes, and PK Subban Slewfoots.
Sluban. PK Sluban.
That was my name for him. I started calling him that.
Is it 3 times now this season?
3.
It's at least 3.
3. Reeves, Zegers, and the other one was what's that?
Lucic.
Lucic, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's three times this season, and I think that's like 10 in his career.
Yeah, I think it's. I mean, can you believe he's making $9 million?
It's his last year. He ain't going to make anything close to $9 million after this year. Tell you that.
Speaking of bad contracts, Adam Fox is making the same amount of money next season as Seth Jones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Seth Jones is going to be an albatross contract for a very, very long time.
Seth Jones is at the age right now Fox will be when his contract ends.
Just disgusting.
It makes you think about the different salary structure a lot of these teams are going with in organizations, and now it's starting to be we're going to pay them up front.
Wait.
Sometimes I'm okay with that. It's just, but then again, you can't pay them when they're 30 then. So you go ahead, do it now.
Yeah. Do you know the 5 defensemen that were paid more than 10% of the cap after their entry level contract?
Erik Karlsson, Drew Doughty.
No.
Wait, so you're talking on what, their second deal?
Their second deal, 10% of the cap.
Shea Weber?
Nope.
It's 5 defenders who've paid on their second deals. Hold on. Second deal.
The first one's easy because he signed.
The first one's Adam Fox.
Oh, yeah.
First one's definitely Adam Fox. I know that. Cale Makar.
Nope. Yeah, sorry, Cale Makar as well. Yeah.
Cale Makar would be one.
Darnell Nurse.
Oh.
Okay.
Darnell Nurse had a bridge deal after his entry level contract.
So
okay.
Adam Fox, Cale Makar, another defenseman right off the bat, second deal, big money. Thomas Chabot.
Nope. Just under.
Yeah, I was about to say Chabot too.
Just under 10%.
Just under.
One other defenseman signed this year as well.
Charlie McAvoy?
No, he's on his third deal.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, because he had the $4.5 million deal. That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. That was his second deal, bridge deal.
I got a guess for Victor Hedman.
Nope.
No, he took a while.
So there's 3 defensemen you're looking for.
Oh, Heiskanen.
Yeah, Miro Heiskanen, and then
because that's what AZ said.
Yeah. Then there's a first overall pick.
Rasmus Dahlin.
Nope.
No, that's right. He's only making 7.
And a Stanley Cup winning captain. Aaron Ekblad, yes, and the Stanley Cup winning captain. That's the 5th one.
Brent Burns?
Nope.
You said San Jose captain. I couldn't hear you.
Stanley Cup winning captain.
Stanley Cup. Oh, that's okay. Stanley Cup winning captain. Ooh, okay. Defenseman.
He got 10.11% on his second deal after his entry-level contract expired.
10.11%.
Doughty wasn't a captain, though.
No. It's all.
Neither is Duncan Keith, so it's not Duncan Keith.
He's no longer on the team. He's no longer on the team he won a cup with.
It's not Alex Pietrangelo. I know that.
And it's not Zdeno Chara.
It's Alex Pietrangelo?
Alex Pietrangelo.
Really?
In 2013, he signed a contract with a 10.11 cap hit percentage.
Wait, hold on 1 second. Hold on. How is that even possible?
And there was Jesse guessing that. By the way, Jesse, welcome to the show. Although you've been here for about a couple hours, but still.
Yeah, Jesse's been with us for a bit. That is a good point, though. I haven't seen Jesse before today. Hold on. All right, so his first deal was a 5-year entry-level deal from 08-09 through 12-13. And then from 13-14, it was $6.5 million, and the cap was
64.3.
Yeah, 10.11%. Oh shit, yeah, that's right.
Ooh.
That's right.
By the way, Joe, thank you for that, for letting me know this. Dolphins were settling Watson to settle the cases.
It's only for PR. It's only a PR move.
Yeah, well, that's a PR move. If I was accused of that, I would fight to the death. Also, I don't have to worry because I'm not going to get accused of that.
True.
Yeah,
I mean, in the NHL,
I am not.
Yeah, that's actually why I got the gaming chair. It works a little bit better right now.
So yeah, but guys, I'm gonna go.
And Steven, I'm gonna.
If you have any good suggestions for a good gaming chair, I'm looking into buying one.
Actually, if you can, and you're gonna put the money on it, try looking up the X chair. I just bought a gaming chair because I didn't have a pot to piss in, and now I kind of wish that I could upgrade it a little bit.
Wait, does it come with a urine bag? What's?
No. A pot to piss in is in money. Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. That is the next step for gaming chairs. It comes with a catheter.
I was so confused there for a second.
Yeah.
All right. I am definitely out on that note, so I will see you two later.
Yes. And Steven, thank you very much for joining us. And
thanks, Steven.
Everybody, also thank you very much for joining us. We look forward to next week, if not doing it sooner. We're hoping to get multiple episodes. We're still trying to figure out that format and how I can not be exhausted on Mondays to do that. So thank you all very much. Once again, thank you to Wardy NHL, Rangers Review, co-host, Statboy Steven for joining me today, and John and Anthony, although you weren't on with Anthony, so it's all good.
Next time.
All right. But Steven, yeah, thank you. And we'll talk some more and get that down.
Sure.
I wish you could be there on the 28th, but I know you can't. So
I unfortunately have other plans. So
no problem. Don't worry. There's always another day.
Yeah.
We'll definitely do something. So thank you. All right. I'm gonna count the broadcast.